Welcome, my little couch potatoes, to the comfiest courtroom on the internet. I'm your host, Llama, and it's time for dramatic testimony, overruled objections, and absolutely unqualified opinions. So grab your snuggiest blanket, some delicious snacks, and get ready to watch court with your internet besties. This is Couch Court with Llama. There I am. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy it's Friday. Even though I have a very busy weekend, so it's not going to be as chill and relaxing as I had planned. But either way, happy Friday, everybody. We are here with day 15 of the Paul Caneiro trial. It's here. We're here, and we're doing the thing. So good morning. Good morning, Wendy. Hello. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little hungover from True Crime and Wine Time last night. So you'll have that. You'll have that. It was a good first show. I'm so happy to be back with that one. Okay, I got that done. And court's here and ready.
Counsel for the record.
Honor Assistant Prosecutor Nicole Wallace on behalf of the state.
Look at that.
Good morning, Judge Chris Decker, Assistant Monmouth County Prosecutor for the state.
Good morning, Your Honor. Monica Mastelon on behalf of Mr. Paul Caneiro, who's present.
Good morning, Judge.
Oh.
Good morning, Mr. Caneiro.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Caneiro.
Family's not in the courtroom.
I did not want to bring the jurors out yet because there was an issue. Can I have the attorneys up here for a second?
What? Okay. First of all, if you notice, none of Jennifer's family is in the pews. Good morning, IG. Good morning. There's some sort of issue that they haven't brought the jurors out yet, so that's interesting. I don't know what that means. Of course there is. We don't get to hear about it. Interesting. I've missed you guys too. I know. One day, though, you know what? I'm going to be honest. After hearing the autopsies Wednesday, I was very thankful that they gave us Thursday off because I'm not going to lie. It was emotionally devastating to hear what happened to this beautiful family. And then, sitting back and thinking more on it. And just, little Sophia was a fighter. And makes sense. Paul's bruises make a lot more sense now because she fought the entire time. And anyway, I'm really glad we had Thursday to recover because it was heavy. It's more horrific than we thought with all of them, really. So, I mean, I'm ready to send him to jail. Let's just go. Let's just be done and just be like, okay, now it makes sense why there's so much of Sophia's DNA and hair all over the clothes. I don't know. I still can't wrap my head around how somebody can do that. But, what's going on today? I don't know. I think the state might as well just rest. Like, let's just call it a day. You ended with a very good, not good way to end, but an impactful way to end between the DNA, the gun, the autopsies. I'm good. I don't really know who else they would call besides family, but who knows? Sorry, I'm a little... Good morning, Teresa. Good morning. You know what it's doing outside? It is pouring down snow. It's snowing. We're supposed to get like 2 to 3 inches today. So, yay. Hello, Pilola. It's very, very cold there. It's very, very cold here. Well, actually, it's only 23 degrees, which is pretty warm considering the last couple weeks. But it's still cold and snowy. So, I'm not a fan of that. Oh, that humming is awful. You're getting more snow too, Teresa? Yeah. And at least I guess it's today. That's fine. A snowy Friday, why not? Next weekend, though, they're calling for a bunch of snow, so we'll see. Our snow from last time just started melting the other day, so I don't think we really need any more. Please and thank you. What is going on? Oh, so you guys are getting the snow tomorrow. Okay, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, it's coming down pretty heavy. I let my dogs out and they come back in and they're just covered in snow. They're so cute. And now they're just sleeping. They're like, oh, that was exhausting. Why did I wake up for that? 60s next week. Oh, wow. I think it's supposed to be like 40 here. That's our high. We're like, yeah, but that is very warm comparatively. So we've had a very snowy winter, more so than normal. So guys, if you didn't, last night was our first episode of True Crime in One Time, the Lane Bryant murders. It's unsolved. Be sure you check it out this weekend. It's really, really good. And I had a great time writing it and doing it. Oh, there's the family. Okay, maybe they just weren't. I was like, oh, what happened to them? But they're there. Okay. Looks like Monica has on like a velvet jacket. Ooh. So who said Thursday would be an interesting day? So the peeps who said Thursday would be an interesting day now says today will be watch, listen worthy. Ooh, Paylola coming in with the tea. Interesting. I've been racking my brain of like, who else do they have left to call? I mean, they've called everyone. They could easily just end today. Have they said anything about when the prosecution's resting? I think they need to soon, just because strike while the iron's hot. Like they got me. I have no idea how the defense is going to dig out of this. No way. Oh yes, everybody, listen and be like Teresia. Hit that like button. Lets everybody know that we're live, and that if they're going to watch this today, they're going to want to watch it with us. So as long as we're not doing another like medical person. Is it Corey Pilola? Is it Corey? I'll tell you what, I don't even know. I think Corey he better be the best damn witness if you're going to put him on the stand is all I got to say. I don't know if I need them to do that. That's what I think too, Pilola. Just end on the Emmys who did a really good job talking and explaining the horrific, like we've heard a lot of Emmys watching trials together. Those are some of the hardest autopsies I think I've heard since, or that affected me in that way since like Parkland. Like it was very devastating and hard to hear because this was not, they call this the mansion murders. It was a freaking massacre is what it was. It was a massacre. Like how horrified all of them had to have been. It was awful. It was awful to hear. And for everyone that had to find them and autopsy them, oh, bless them. I could never have that job. Good morning, PM. Wi-Fi's acting funny this morning. It's sick of the weather too. Oh, I get it. Wait a second. Who's that woman that just came in that sat behind? Is that one of Paul's daughters? She is very pregnant.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind, I have to deal with an issue, so I'm going to ask everyone to clear the courtroom for a minute.
It's about a juror.
I will tell you all this, that I'm clearing the physical courtroom. I'm not turning off live stream. I believe next door is live stream. I believe it still is. I'm not sure.
What is happening?
Anyone know?
Which one?
Right next door?
The 309 is no longer.
So it's not beyond, but you can watch it on the New Jersey Judiciary. I just can't have you physically in the courtroom with what I need to do right now. So I don't want you to think that you can't watch it somewhere outside. You just can't watch it in here. Okay.
What?
And I'll bring you back in before we start. I'll take a break so that you guys can all come back in. I wouldn't do that to you.
Thank you.
What is this about? I've never. You're like, yeah, you're gonna want to know what I'm talking about, basically. Like what?
I don't think it can. It's okay. It doesn't. It's okay. Yeah, I'm good.
I'm gonna use my telepathic.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, just number 9. Put him right in his regular seat.
No. Oh, hi, Liz. You can stick with us today.
Number 9? Wow.
Yep, and the bus stop was.
Yes, clearing the gallery, and it can't be about a juror. Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen it before either. That's why I'm like,
Morning, sir. How are you?
Good.
oh,
So, something came to my attention
it is a juror.
in reference to on Wednesday, walking out from the courthouse at the end of the day, that there may have been some conversation that went on between yourself and a sheriff's officer. And I wanted to just hear it from you if there was any conversation. The way it was relayed to me is that it had to do something with the photographs that were observed on the screen. If you recall, do you recall having some form of a conversation with the sheriff's officer
Yes.
about that?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell me what the conversation was, please?
Let me think. Oh boy. Jeez. I probably made reference to the fact that that was something about the trauma of the photo.
Okay.
And I think I might have said something to him like, I guess this is nothing new for you guys. You probably see this once in a while. I think it was something to that effect. That's what I recall. I don't.
Okay, that's fine. So when you say the trauma of the photo, tell me what you meant by that when you said that.
The trauma that those folks might have probably experienced.
Okay.
And
So
how-
the trauma to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't speak to nobody about nothing.
Tell me how, when you saw the photos,
By the way, this is
if at all,
not
how it
showing.
impacted you.
Just sadness.
Okay. Now, we discussed, if you remember, one of the open-ended questions, we discussed this particular issue
Right.
because we foreshadowed that this would be something that would come up. And it's my recollection that every one of the jurors had indicated that they would be able to put any emotion aside and be able to still decide this case based upon all the evidence and not based on the photos. I just want to make sure you are still comfortable, that you saw what you saw, and that's fine. If you are in any way feeling any sort of way just by looking at those photos, I need for you to tell me now, because obviously it's important to both sides here.
No, I think that happened, and in that moment that happened, and then I was like, okay, just cleared it out. I was like, okay, that's what it is, and just move on. I tend to do that. Things can impact me, and then I'll process it, and then just go back to square one, so it doesn't linger.
Sir, come on.
So whatever that trauma was to the victims in this case, I need to know that your emotions that you had, even if you put them aside, that you would be able to still decide this case, because you have to decide not only that these individuals have died, and also that who the individual was who did this. So I need to make sure that you still have an open mind as to all of the evidence in this case. You're going to evaluate all of it and not just the fact that you're looking at those photos. Are you going to be able to do that?
I feel like I will. Yeah.
Okay. I want to get a little bit more from you if you don't mind.
Sure.
I don't know if it applied to you when we had those voir dire questions. Yeah, if you don't mind.
Very noisy outside the courtroom. By the way, this is never done in front of cameras.
Thank you.
This is always done privately with jurors, so we
I
never
don't know
get
if
to
it
see
applied
that.
to you or not, but sometimes when people would answer my questions when we were going through voir dire, if they gave me an answer that maybe it could mean something else, I would ask it again. And so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I heard you, what you just said, but I just want to make sure. I need to know, and both parties need to know that the photos are not going to impact your overall analysis in this case. So can you say that with certainty that you can do that, or are you still feeling like, yeah, it's still bothering me?
No, I can say it with certainty. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just, when it hits you, It's like, I mean, there's lots of things through life where if I don't hold it in that moment and then be able to move on, that I'm just captured into the past and I'm ready to move on.
Okay. All right. So you feel like you could still be fair and impartial both to the state and to the defense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So now let me ask you this. That conversation that you had with the officer, was there anybody else that was a part of that conversation?
No, he and I were on the back of the line. We were just together.
Okay. So there was nobody else there. And can you tell us about that when you talked to him? Was it in a high voice? Was it a low voice? Meaning that soft?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you feel, based upon what you saw during that conversation, that any of the other jurors heard what you said?
No.
Okay.
I made sure I was far enough back because I didn't want to.
Okay. Let me now take it past the sheriff's officer for a second. Understanding how you felt on Wednesday night, were you able to continue with complying with the charge of not talking to people that night about it or talk to anybody else about it? You had to kind of keep it to yourself. Were you able to do that? If you weren't, I understand. But
I mentioned a couple of things to my wife. About it was a heavy day.
Okay.
That was about it.
You just said heavy day?
Heavy day, yeah.
Did you say anything more than that?
I said that they showed photos today and it was really impactful.
Okay.
And she wanted to know more. I said, but she goes, no, I know you can't talk about it.
Okay. Did she make any comments to you as a result of what you said?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there anything about the conversation that you had with your wife that you feel that could have impacted you and your ability to be fair and impartial?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Separate and apart from this conversation, is there anything else that has happened during the course of this trial? Any emotions that have come up that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial?
No,
Okay. Do you feel like you can sit on this jury and decide this case, continue on?
I do.
Okay. Any doubt in your mind?
No. I mean, even when Wednesday happened, I was still locked into like objectivity. It was, so yeah, I feel competent.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. This is between the four walls. So if you don't mind, we're going to keep this here. I'm not going to say anything to them, so please don't tell them either. And let me ask you this, just to round it out. Have you heard anyone else talking about the trial or anything else, or make any comments to you about those pictures or anything?
Folks in here?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Just, people are just, you got looks and we're like exchanging information just through our eyes. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, but no one said anything about it? Okay. All right, you can go back in the jury room. Thank you, sir. There's nothing to be sorry about, sir. Thank you, though. I appreciate your honesty.
The four walls and the internet. Hello, Anna. Oh, Judge, I think we.
Anything anyone want to put on the record? I feel comfortable with what he said.
Oh.
Same for the state, Judge.
Okay. That's, okay.
I was gonna
For the
say.
record purposes, after listening to juror number 9, I found him to be very credible in his responses to me. I found that under the circumstances, the pictures, they showed what they showed. And we, as the attorneys and the court, we looked at question number one to the jurors and asked them specifically because we knew that these photos could have impact. This juror remained consistent with what his answers was back during voir dire. I don't have any concerns about him and his ability to be fair and impartial in this case. I do not find in any way, shape, or form that there's been any impact on any of the other jurors. I find that the sheriff's officer and the juror were back away from the rest of the jurors, that the other jurors didn't hear those two comments that were made. And based upon that, I'm going to allow juror number 9 to continue on with our case. And we'll see where, if he ends up being a part of our case or not. Nobody knows until the alternates are picked after the charge is given to the jury. With that being said, is there anything else
That
we
guy's going to
need
give interviews. I can tell you
to
that.
do before we go back and bring the juries out?
No, but Judge, I just need to remind the court, the state needs to rest.
No, I do. I remember that. But anything other than that?
Oh, sir.
He just
Anything else from the defense before I bring them back out? Okay, I just don't want to bring them out and then us come right to sidebar in 2 seconds. So if there's something, let's just do it now. We're good? Okay, all right, we can bring them out. Thank you.
So while they're bringing everyone in, I'm just going to mute that. So for those that just came in, they cleared the courtroom to bring this juror in to talk about, because he made a comment to the sheriff after Wednesday and the autopsies. Oh, you guys must see this all the time. Then talked about how when he went home to his wife, he said that there were pictures and it was very impactful. And apparently they didn't go into more conversation. But like, by the way, we usually never get to see and be a part of juror questioning. So
The door
it's very
and said that you were ready.
I didn't know we were allowed.
All right, we're just going to allow everyone back in.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Did anyone see we might get snow again this weekend?
you're gonna know everybody.
Wednesday's snow day.
Isn't it enough? Did we get enough? We can't get rid of the old stuff.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to indict somebody, Mother Nature.
Yeah, well, listen, Mother Nature's not listening. It's kind of like the story of my life. Nobody listens
That's the
to
guy that's been talkative with the judge a lot too.
me. All right.
Good morning,
Let's
Cassandra.
just give it one more second.
Good
I
morning.
apologize. I should have done that before I asked you to come out.
And I didn't care for his answer that like the trauma was to the people, not to him. It's like, buddy, come on. Yeah, I don't know how you just start back 0 after seeing horrific images. Like nobody that doesn't get out of here, sir. You know, I don't know. That's just me though. Okay, I need them to do something because I need
Okay,
more coffee.
we're back on the record. I already put the caption on the record earlier. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to the state.
Thank you, Judge. Subject to the moving of evidence, the state rests.
Okay.
The state rests.
At this point in time. At this point in time, we'll move over to the defense case. Defense can call their first witness.
Holy shit
Thank you,
balls.
Your Honor. The defense would call Dr. Jeff Gould.
Wow, that's it. I know. And it's now the defense's.
Morning, sir. Just watch your step as you're coming up.
Oh,
If you don't mind, sir, if you could put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
no, Corey.
Okay, and once you can get seated, get comfortable. Can you state your full name for the record and spell your
We're
last
family.
name, please?
Jack Gould, last name Gould.
That's interesting, though.
Sir, I'm just going to ask for you to do me a favor, okay? When you speak, when you're testifying, please make sure you keep your voice up. Jurors number 15 and 16, they got to be able to hear everything that you're saying. So just keep your
I'm
voice
here.
up,
I'm
okay?
going to get my
Yes, sir. All right,
coffee,
thank
and
you,
then I
sir.
have to do my
All right,
wizard.
when you're ready, Ms. Mastalone.
Over here.
Thank you. Good morning, Dr. Gould. Good morning. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Stand up.
Oh, no, you can remain seated.
My name is Jack Gould. I'm a local physician in Monmouth County.
And what is your educational background?
I did my undergraduate work as a microbiologist at Rutgers College. From there, I worked in the pharmaceutical industry and then went off to medical school at the University of Medicine and Dentistry. And then I did my residency in obstetrics and gynecology at Monmouth Medical Center.
And do you currently live in Monmouth County?
Yes,
Who do you live with?
I currently live with my wife, Pam Gould.
Okay, so I want to first talk to you about how you know the Caneiro family. Do you know Paul Caneiro and his family?
Yes.
And who is in Paul's immediate family?
Wife Susan and two daughters, Marissa and Katie.
And how do you know them?
They were my neighbors for 23 to 25 years.
Okay, and when did it start? When did you first meet them? What year?
Met in the spring of '96, and they moved in approximately 6 months after we moved in.
Okay, and when you say neighbors, where was your house physically located in comparison to Mr. Caneiro's?
They were directly, our back sides, both our houses, we were directly behind their house.
And what was your address at the time?
19 Oxford Drive.
That address may sound familiar, so let me just ask you this. Were you involved in this investigation at all?
Only in the fact that I had been requested to offer video surveillance for my cameras.
And did you ultimately provide the surveillance to the detectives when I asked?
Yes.
And we've seen that. Were you involved in this investigation in any other way?
No.
And was there anything with respect to the investigation that you would have added?
Yeah, it was kind of odd because when all this was going on, this would be on the 20th, I was actually in my office watching, because I had cameras, watching what was going on, and they were going from one backyard to the other backyard, back and forth, and I realized they were talking to my wife, and when they pointed at the cameras, I kind of realized I'd be getting a visitor at my office. They showed up, they asked for the video information, but they never actually even asked if I had known Paul. They never asked any questions about it, and our backyards were kind of odd because we had a little walkway with pergolas and kind of grapevines, and they were putting up crime scene tape, but they never asked what was with the connection between the two yards, which was kind of odd.
Was it like a custom?
Yeah, it was custom pergolas and kind of made it look nice so that families could go back and forth easily.
Okay. So let's talk about that information that, I want to talk about the information that you have about the Caneiro family.
Okay. So
But
he's a neighbor.
since you mentioned the surveillance cameras, I just want to talk about that briefly. Who installed your cameras, your surveillance system?
I did the actual installation of the cameras, and I did the hardwiring of all the coaxial cables to the main DVR that I had set up. Unfortunately, once I had it all set up, I couldn't get it to stream through the router, the modem. I just couldn't get it to actually work. So I contacted Paul and had him come over to do all the internet protocols or whatever needed so that I could stream it through the firewall.
Okay, so was there any type of system that he put in place for you?
Along the way, he had set up for internet security. He did a external hard, I guess it would be a router firewall that I used Square One to manage, just so I didn't have to worry about anything happening to my system. Unfortunately, I didn't understand how it worked. He did, so I would always have him take care of any problems that occurred. And one of them was trying to get the video cameras to work.
Was there something with like an acronym that he used?
He set up it's a DDNS, and I know it has to do with changing IP addresses, but I don't understand it. He did.
Okay, so you mentioned you don't understand it. Is this something that's is it simple or is it more complex?
To me, it was complex.
Okay, and did Mr. Paul Caneiro ever set up any access points in your house anywhere?
He set up an access point over our garage because it was too far away from the antennas for our router. And this way my wife had her office up there, and it allowed us to have better internet access to
This
that end of the
internet,
house.
or this neighborhood is shit internet.
And so returning to the Caneiro family,
Yes.
I want to focus on that. When you mentioned you first met the Caneiro family in 1996, how soon after they moved into their home at 27 Tilton did you meet them?
I actually saw the day they moved in, and I probably met Paul the next day or within 2 days. He was in his backyard, so I went in my backyard just to kind of chit chat with him.
And how did that conversation go?
It actually went very well. I'm a firm believer after about 5 to 10 minutes of talking to somebody, you can get a good flavor. This is somebody you can continue a conversation with. And I could. It was very comfortable. We had very similar likes and a very similar personality. Sense of humor actually matched very well.
And did you see anyone help the Caneiro family that day move in when you saw them?
When I actually saw Paul was coming in with had his brother Keith with him, and Keith was carrying some stuff in with him.
Okay. Now, over time, can you explain to us how your relationship developed with the Caneiro family? And I'm referencing Paul, Susan, and their daughters at this point.
It turned out that Paul had 2 daughters, and I had a daughter and a son, and they were both, all 4 of them were within a year of each other. So there was Marissa, my daughter, and then Katie and my son. So they were all pretty much in the same age bracket. They were going to be going to the same school system. And they started, because the backyards were next to each other, were playing with each other constantly. And then because of that, my wife and Susan were around. They would actually start supervising the children. And then on the weekends, when Paul was around, we'd all get together. The children would play, and it was almost like a common backyard. They would run back and forth from house to house. And we would kind of just sit on a deck and just watch them play. And as time went on, you get friendlier and friendlier, and you get to know each other a lot better.
So over the years, how often would you say you saw the Caneiro family?
In the summertime, especially when the children were off in the warmer weather, it would probably be almost every weekend or every other weekend. Somebody would either have a barbecue, even if it was just throwing hamburgers and hot dogs on the grill, because the kids were out playing. It was better to be outside than inside. So every week to 2 weeks.
And so would you consider yourself and your family close to Paul and his family?
It got to the point where it would be like considered extended family.
And did your families ever become close to the extent that you would celebrate holidays together?
Yeah, we got in the habit very early on. All Christmases would be celebrated at Paul's house, mainly because I'd be on call a lot for Christmas, so I may or may not be there. So we did the Christmases over at Paul's house. Then New Year's, we would alternate one house to the other. He would host it, or I would host it. And on these events, you could invite anybody or any family members, anybody. And then as it got warmer weather, Labor Day, Memorial Day, we would have outdoor barbecues, and either he would host one or we would.
Now, who else would typically be at these barbecues or the holiday events?
A lot of times we would be there, Keith would be there with Jen. And early on, it was just Keith and Jen, but as time went on, they had children. So then Jesse and Sophia would be there. Sometimes if Katie or Marissa had friends, they would come over. My children would also be over there. And if they had friends, they would come over. Occasionally, the parents, Paul's parents would be there from time to time.
And do you know Jim and Stacy Pritchett,
Yes.
would they be there as
They
well?
would be there also.
Did you ever see Corey at any of these gatherings?
Corey was there, but not as often as everybody else. So I would say he was there maybe 10 to 15% of the time. He wasn't there all the time, but he would be there occasionally.
And who is Elisa?
Elisa was Corey's girlfriend, which led up to, I think they got married at some point in time, but I don't know when.
And how often did you see her?
If I saw her once or twice in the 23 years, that's about it.
Now, in addition to holidays, you mentioned, I think, barbecues and other types of like Labor Day, Memorial Day events. Did you ever socialize with the Caneiro family in any other capacity?
Yeah, especially because the kids really got along great. We got along great. We did go on a couple of vacations to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and we also went to Turks and Caicos, both families together.
Okay. Now, based on how well you knew Paul, how would you describe Paul?
Very well educated, very well read, easygoing, someone you could have a conversation on almost any topic, and you could have an ongoing conversation, calm enough that you could make jokes and not worry that you offended him. He kind of rolled with the punches and had a very pleasant personality, never got angry, never got upset. And, you know, he was good with the kids. It's an enjoyable experience. It's good.
Would you describe Paul as a helpful person?
Most definitely. He was very good with his hands, and he had a pool. At one point in time, he put a pool and we had a pool. So if I ever had pump problems with my pool, he would come over and essentially show me how to adjust, you know, my pool. If I had any electrical issues, he would come over. And if I had troubles with IT stuff, he would actually run the wires and then, you know, call actually to the company and switch things over, just so that instead of using coaxial cable, we would use Cat5. And if I had problems outside the drainage, he would come over and talk to me about how the best way to run drainage things.
And I think you mentioned that when you were describing Paul, he like more of a calm personality. Can you
Yes.
explain that more?
You know, when you have young kids running around doing what young kids do, he never raised his voice. I never had an argument with him. We never argued about anything. Never heard him argue with anybody. You know, he's just a very calm individual.
Yes, Pialola.
I don't have
Good point.
a better way to say it, but
And now you mentioned that you also had the occasion to meet Keith and Jennifer, it sounds like many times?
many times. We never went on vacations with them, but they were always over at Paul's house. So we did socialize with them frequently.
And based on that, based on your observations and your experience with the Caneiro family, including Paul, Susan, their daughters, and Keith, Jennifer, and their daughters, how would you describe the relationship between Paul and Keith?
Exceptionally close. I mean, some people would even say they were like fused at the hips. They could talk about many different things, always joking, laughing, and a very close, caring relationship. You could feel that they cared for each other. And even if they were partners in a business, and even if they were talking about a client, it was a quick conversation, and then they moved on to something else.
And how would you describe like Paul, the way that Paul would speak about Keith or?
Protective. And I remember, you know, if Keith ever had a problem with something going on at his house, Paul, and this happened once we were out at lunch. If something was going on at Keith's house, Paul would say, oh, as soon as we're done, we have to drive over to the house. He's got to set up something that was a pool timer that needed to be adjusted. Paul would drop what he was doing and go over.
So was it your impression that Paul would, you mentioned earlier he was helpful. Does that include being helpful to Keith when he could?
Yes.
What about when Keith went back to school?
When Keith went back to school, I guess he went to Columbia, and I'm not sure if it was for master's or a PhD. Paul was very supportive. Paul was actually very proud of it. And it wasn't uncommon that Keith would contact Paul about, I guess, classes, things to do, if there was a project, just for advice. So Paul was very supportive of it.
And so I want to focus a little bit more now on the year of 2018. Was the summer of 2018 any different than any prior summer as far as the get-togethers and the being with family?
The summer of 2018, there were less get-togethers. I think between Paul and Susan, there may have been a marital issue or something. So I was working a lot, and I guess we didn't really have as much where we would go out to dinner as much. But Paul still on the weekends would still have barbecues. So we would still get together in that respect.
So would you still spend time with Paul and Susan and the girls as a family?
Yeah,
Summer?
yeah.
Okay. And to your knowledge, you mentioned the marital issue. Did Paul and Susan still get along?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear Paul say anything bad about Susan? Or
Objection, Judge.
bad
Sustained.
about Paul?
Sustained. Don't answer that question. It's hearsay.
Did they ever express any type of,
Objection.
Sustained. Express. You're asking for what he has heard from others, so it's sustained. Hearsay.
can we approach?
Ma'am.
Sure.
We get it. We get it. Uh-huh. Oh. First of all, this guy seems like the nicest guy. And there he is looking at Paul. Just breaks your heart a little bit. Here's the thing, right? Is in the world of true crime, as many of us know, if you're murdered, it's usually by somebody you love and they loved you. It's most likely going to be a family member or a friend who kills you. So, sure. I'm sure Paul was a great guy. Doesn't not make them a murderer or have potential to be. It happens all the time, even with married couples.
During the time that you knew Paul and Susan living at 27 Tilton, was there a point in time where there were renovations to their home?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about that?
There was a few renovations. The first one that I remember was they were doing work on their bathroom, which was putting in closets and redoing it. So they renovated that. And then as time went on, LED lights became the fashion, and you could adjust the brightness. So he had an electrician guy, and they were changing all the lights to LEDs with special switches so that he could adjust light paths. So if one of the daughters came home in the middle of the night, they could just press a button and there'd be a light path. So they didn't have to turn on and off lights the whole way. So he was switching all that over. He also had another guy the guy that did our pergolas, was taking down sheetrock and doing insulation indoors for sound, sound silencing insulation. So soundproofing, I guess, would be the best way to say it. So he had a lot of rooms soundproofed.
What about anything with woodworking?
Yeah, they did a lot of custom cabinetries. So I know in the bedroom, when you do an entertainment system, he had custom entertainment systems built. And that was the same guy that did, I think, the pergolas.
They have a pergola guy. I find that so funny.
I want to draw your attention to November 19th of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes,
Was there anything special about that day?
yes, my wife's birthday.
And did you go out that night for her birthday?
Yes.
Okay. And after that, what's the next thing that you remember?
We went out for, I guess, dinner and drinks. It was a nice evening. We go to bed. And then somewhere around between 5 and 5:30, maybe 5:20, we got a phone call from Keith Caneiro, Paul's daughter, that their house was on fire. She didn't know much details, that in case the fire had spread, because we had a big oak tree between the yards, grab our dog, grab your valuables, get dressed and get out of the house. So we did. And then we left our house and we were at the top of our driveway, which saw the back of their house and saw the house on fire.
Okay. And did you see them at all that morning?
No.
And when was the next time you saw anyone from the Caneiro family?
Later that evening, it may have been, Susan came to our house because she was going to be staying with our house.
And obviously a lot of time has passed since 2018.
Yes.
Are you still close with the Caneiro family?
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ross?
Dr. Gould, good morning. How you doing? Just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. You mentioned Columbia. Were you talking about the university or the country?
No, the university.
Oh, the university, because that's where Keith went back to school, correct?
Yes,
He got his MBA, I think, right?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so when you first met Keith and Jen, they didn't yet have kids, right?
No.
Okay, and eventually they did have kids,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Sophia and Jesse, right?
Mhm.
So you knew Sophia, you knew Jesse?
Yes,
Okay, and were they at your house at times?
yes.
Okay. Now, you understand with respect to, I guess you had interactions with, where it would be you, it would be Keith, and it would be Paul all together, correct?
Yes.
And you described their relationship as being extremely close. They were, I think you said maybe joined at the hip or something like that.
That's a nice way to describe it, yes.
Corey was a bunch younger than Keith and Paul, right?
7 years, I think,
Yeah, 7 or 8, right?
in that ballpark, yes.
Because Keith and Paul are like 1 year apart, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So there was a significant age gap there, right?
Yes.
And Corey wasn't even married yet, right? When you first met him, you said?
When we first met him, no.
Now, you talked about electrical issues or electrical work that was being done and how Paul would go over to Keith's house and he was helping him out with some of these electrical issues and things like that, right?
I don't know if it was
Objection, that's
specifically
not what
electrical
he
issues.
said. He said it was a pool issue.
He did say something about electrical, so I'm gonna,
That was Paul's renovations.
your objection is overruled. Whatever you remember is what you said is what matters to us. What was it about electrical that you
That's not
recall
wrong.
that
That's
Paul
what I
would do?
heard.
That's all we want to know.
Paul's house, he had some guy coming in, changing all the light bulbs to LEDs and all the light switches so that they could be operated through a app on his phone.
Paul was obviously very tech savvy, correct?
Most definitely,
Probably more than you, right?
most definitely.
I'm sure more than me.
Objection.
Sustained.
He was more tech savvy than most people you knew. Is that accurate?
Correct.
And when you had issues with your cameras, he was able to come over and try to figure it out, right?
Either would come over, or if I had computer issues, we actually had overlapping wireless networks. Sometimes he would just fix it from his patio.
Remotely?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said he would go over to Paul, you did say he would go over to Keith's house sometimes and help out with stuff though, right?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of stuff?
The one example I can tell you, just because I remember I was with Paul, we were
We're gonna
out at a restaurant having lunch, and he goes, I got to go over to Keith's house and adjust, I think it was either a light or a setting to the pool. And he goes, do you want to come on over with me? And I said, yeah, I'd love to see the house and get a tour.
So you've been to Keith's house, correct?
Yes.
And you've been to Paul's house, I imagine, many times, right?
Many times.
And when was the last time you think you were there prior to the fire?
At Paul's house.
Yes.
Probably September. Well, the fire was September, October, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't remember the exact day.
Okay, I understand. You were in the basement during the course of your times at 27 Tilden?
Yes.
Okay. And were you in the basement, like, close in time to November 20th of 2018 when the fire happened?
Probably the last time I was down in the basement would have been in the summer, maybe, but not close to the fire.
Describe the basement for us.
You would go down the steps. To the right was a area, I guess, where the kids would be playing in. They had a play area. If you went over more to the right, there was an enclosed area which he had kind of an entertainment area with a TV and music. If you went down the steps and you turned to the left, you went through doors, and that's where he had, I guess the best way to say it would be like a hobby doing gunsmithing, so he kept the gunsmithing equipment down there.
Okay.
And then if you went further down, there was another area where he had some water purification systems and storage cabinets.
You say gunsmithing, what do you mean?
He owned firearms, and sometimes if they needed to be worked on or looked at, he would actually clean them, repair them, take them apart.
Did you ever shoot firearms with Mr. Caneiro?
Yes.
Okay, where'd you do that?
At that time, I think Paul had 2 memberships,
Okay.
and they were more outdoor ranges, and I had a membership in Lakewood at an indoor range.
At Sure Shot?
Yes.
Okay, did he have a membership at Sure Shot?
You know, I don't remember if he had a membership because you could bring guests, so I'm not really sure.
Those outdoor ranges, there's an outdoor range like almost like across the street from Tilton Drive, right?
Yeah.
Gun Club Road, right?
Mhm.
So that's nearby, right?
Yes.
Did you ever go there with Mr. Caneiro?
No, I had been there for a safety course, but I did not go with Paul.
Now, Can I have the back table for a moment? Dr. Gould, I just want to show you a couple photos, just for context, if you don't mind. Let me show you S1A, slide 3. And I'm just going to ask you if you recognize what that shows. And you recognize that area?
Yes.
And what's that?
That's the front of Paul's house.
Okay, and what's in the back here?
Right here?
Yeah.
My house.
That's your house. I just want to make sure. Can I have S1A slide 3? It's going to be on the screen in front. Okay, so Doctor, you just pointed it out here. Could you just explain what we're looking at here? And you can use that pen if you'd like.
Right. This is the front of Paul's house. And this is the back end of my house. The northern side would be over here.
I don't know why that thing is not working.
That's okay.
It usually does. Our screen is. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look up here. The house that's kind of in the majority of the photo is 27 Tilton, correct?
Yes.
And then just like kind of over top the garage with the 3 windows on the left, that's your house in the back, right?
Yes.
Okay. And just,
Is this
if I could, I'm going to show
Llama?
you,
I guess so.
let's show you slide 6 of S1A. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what's that show?
That is actually the northern side of Paul's house where the garage doors are.
Okay. So north is up to the left, right?
Yes.
Your house would be east, right? Okay, can I have slide 6, please? Okay, so when we're looking at that photo, if you could just kind of just explain now that the jury can see it.
This is the back where Paul's garage is. My house would be back here. Way up here was where my wife's office was. And this is the other part of our
Okay,
house.
good morning.
All right.
It's not working at all.
It's not, Judge.
I'm
I'm sorry.
talking to Dave now.
Sorry. It's not working. These are Mr. Caneiro.
Technology.
Sorry. Dr. Good, those are Mr. Caneiro's cars in the driveway, right?
They're his cars or daughter's cars.
Oh,
But they're owned by the
they
Caneiro
belong
family.
at that residence?
Yes.
Okay. And your cameras are on the back. You have cameras. You had a bunch of cameras on your
Yes,
house, right?
yes, I did.
But there was 2 on the back, right?
There was a camera that was here. I'm trying to think, this was the main camera. I did have another camera, but it was inside the house facing outward. And there was a camera on the other side of the house. When I was installing the cameras, I had asked Paul's advice, and every main entry point had a camera on it.
Okay, I'm going to stop us for a second. Can you guys just go in the jury room for a second? Don't discuss this case. Don't do any research. I want to fix this issue so that I want to make sure that we can get this captured. Doctor, you can take a seat.
Surprisingly,
Or
the
IT
first IT problem they've had, which is very impressive in a courtroom. Normally, there's IT problems all around. Oh, yeah, her blazer is amazing today. Well, you guys that are just joining us, in case you didn't know, the state rested first thing this morning after a questioning of a juror who made a comment to a sheriff officer after Wednesday about the pictures. You guys must see this all the time. Then told his wife that they had seen pictures that were impactful, and apparently that was it. But we got to see them question a juror, which isn't usually shown. So it's been an interesting morning. This is the first witness, neighbor, Dr. Jack Gold, for the defense's case in chief. So interesting day so far. Very interesting indeed. Who, by the way, he seems like the nicest guy. He's quite lovely and personable, Dr. Gould. Yeah, I know, right, Dave? You're welcome. I was like, what? I think that was a good stopping point for the state. I think it could have been too risky to put Corey on the stand because you never know how somebody's going to testify, especially a family member. So I think it was in their best interest to not even bother. The defense can call them if they want to. So, though I will say I am surprised that they didn't have other family members, like Jennifer's family, testify, but they may not have been wanting to or felt that they could, contain their emotions and stuff. Which is, I don't blame them. Can't imagine going up there.
I just want you to know I could have fixed it myself, but I didn't want to show off.
Was it turn it off, turn it back on again?
All right, we're good to go now. Mr. Tucker, I'm going to ask for you to step back. Yeah, and I'd like for you to step back to the picture before, because there was conversation about that we did not capture, so that the record is clear. I'd appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Judge, of course. Can I go back to slide 3, please? Doctor, we're going to go back to that first slide, number 3, which is on the screen now in front of you, correct?
Yes.
Could you just put an X on like the 27 Tilton residence? There you go. And then when we talked about your house, can you put like a Y over top or something? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, so we'll mark that. Is slide 3. I don't know what point we're on with that one. It's because a couple other people used it. Do you know, Anna?
I can hear you. There's a delay, Mike.
Oh, that's okay. So I just want to confirm that it's 3 point something. I don't have my latest for that slide.
Your Honor, it's 2.
3.2? Thank you. All right, so 3.2. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No problem. Can we go back to slide 6 now, please? So we're looking at S1A, slide 6. And again, you referenced where your house was. Can you put a Y over there again? Thank you, Doctor. And then this is the garage, I think, of 27 Tilton, right?
Yes.
You put like a G there or something? Great, thank you. And then you said that the 2 white cars, they belonged there, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you didn't know which one was specifically whose, but they both belonged at the residence?
Yes.
And you referenced one of the cameras from the back of your house that was like on the back of your house, correct?
Correct.
Could you put like a little circle? Like I know you may not be able to see it.
A camera right here.
Okay.
And there was a window here, and on the inside, there was a camera that faced directly out.
Okay.
But
yes, you want to go a little above it with an arrow, maybe it'll actually mark better. There you go.
Perfect.
Thank you, Doc. And with respect to that camera footage, you testified that you ultimately gave it to the police, right?
yes,
All the cameras from your home.
whatever they asked for.
Okay. And ultimately, they took it and they ultimately looked at it, you imagine, right?
Yes.
Did you look at any of the footage prior to turning it over to the police?
No.
How about afterwards?
Yes, but it wasn't until a few weeks afterwards, just because being on call, and I just never really wanted to look at it.
Can we,
Did check it a few weeks later.
sorry. Can we just save that 6.3?
When you looked at it, did you see a car leave at 2:08 in the morning from that 27 Tilton driveway?
When they originally asked for the video footage, I gave them the original, but then they asked for another set. So I saw a car coming back on the first set, and it wasn't until maybe weeks later that I saw the second, what they requested for, and that's when I saw a car leaving.
So you saw a car leaving the driveway at 27 Tilton in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Early morning hours?
Yes,
It's about 2:08.
it would be time stamped on the,
Then did you see the car come back about 2 hours later?
yes.
Did you see when the fire first became visible on the back of 27 Tilton?
Not when it, on the camera or in reality?
On the camera.
Yes,
Now, you weren't up when the fire started, right? Okay. You weren't up when the time when the car left 27 Tilton?
No.
You weren't up when the car came back to 27 Tilton, correct?
correct.
And obviously, you talked about the relationship between Paul and Keith Caneiro, right?
Yes,
They were close, correct?
yes,
They were a year apart. They were brothers, right?
yes,
But obviously, I mean, you'd acknowledge, Doctor, that you weren't privy to all their conversations, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you weren't privy to all their, personal conversations, right?
Correct.
As well as you weren't privy to all the inner workings of the two of them as they related to like owning businesses together, correct? And you obviously mentioned Square One, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, you just gotta say it for the record. And EcoStar, right?
Yes.
And did you know the dynamics of like who owned how much of what?
No.
Okay, Paul never told you the dynamics of the majority versus the minority of, say, Square One?
We were good friends, and I didn't really want to pry into his business affairs.
Okay, so you didn't pry into his business affairs?
No.
Okay, so you didn't talk about any loans he took or anything like that?
He indicated he doesn't know.
It's a Friday.
I don't know what the loan is for, if it's personal or if it's, if you know.
I didn't ask any questions or knew anything about loans.
So you weren't aware in November of 2018 anything about?
Objection.
He hasn't finished his sentence yet. What's the objection?
Can we approach Judge?
Sure, of course.
I mean, I don't think it's who talks about those sorts of things with your friends. I mean, maybe sometimes, but like, I don't know. I don't think they're talking finances together, really. Not like that. At least not like when you're having like trouble finances, right? Maybe. But Mo has our objection seat cushion today. Well, this is more objections than we've heard in this whole trial overall this morning. So I think that's funny. This judge, I adore him, actually. I think he's great. But I don't know if they need to really press the finance. That you either do or you don't, So I don't think this guy knows anything about finances.
Doctor, just a couple more questions. What I was asking is it fair to say that back in November of 2018, you weren't aware of anything regarding Mr. Caneiro's financial status?
The only thing I did know about was he had a disability policy, because I had one also, and they were very similar disability policies. That's the only thing I knew about.
Okay. You weren't aware of any phone calls the night before November 19th between Keith and Paul?
No, not at all.
I just wanted to, because you mentioned you knew Keith Caneiro, Jennifer, Sophia, and Jesse, correct?
Yes.
Doctor, I just want to show you what's been marked as S2 for identification.
Yes.
Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's a picture of Keith, Jennifer, Jesse, and Sophia.
Can I have that published, please? Doctor, just now that it's in front of the jury, can you just tell us what that picture shows and who that is?
Like you're doing prosecutor
Keith.
tests.
Jennifer, Sophia, and Jesse.
Keith, describe his hair for me.
Sparse.
Okay. He kind of had a shaved head, right?
Yes.
Okay. And Paul has hair, correct?
Oh,
Yes.
so
And he's
beautiful.
had hair as long as you knew him, right?
Yes.
And Corey had a shaved head like that, right? Like Keith?
Pretty much the whole time I knew him, yes.
Yeah. Judge, can we just approach this 2 seconds?
Sure, can we turn the lights back on, please?
Oh, goodness. What a beautiful family. I know what, Prosecutor Chris, I know what you're up to. All right, because the last images that people have of these people in the brain were the autopsies, which were horrible. Horrible. So, but yeah, I don't think people usually want to talk to their friends when they're having money problems, especially with Paul. Seems very much like he was kind of like keeping up with the Joneses kind of personality, hence all the Porsches and taking money and stuff. I don't think he'd want people to know that he was broke AF. So, hi, Krista. Hello. Hope you're doing well, babe. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. By the way, you should know, once this trial's over, I'm beginning my Real Housewives of Salt Lake watch here very soon. So, just to let you know, it'll be happening. It'll be happening. My Real Housewife friend. I know. Happy Friday, Raindrops. Hope you're doing well too, babe. Hope the wedding planning's going great. How exciting for you. It is coming down fast with snow, by the way. Like our roads, probably, I'd say already a ½ inch. And it's only been snowing since like 8. So whoever's on the east side of Ohio, you're getting some snow. So far, so good. Great. I love that. Your wedding dress was gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Defense is presenting their case in chief. And I don't know how long they're going to go for. I mean, obviously, probably through the next week, but we could wrap up very soon, which the universe answered my prayers. Because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this for 7 more weeks of Andy. I don't know if I can. Sorry, Andy, shots fired. But but I don't know what all kind of people they're going to call. I don't know if they have any experts, because it seemed like the state had no idea who the defense was going to call. They didn't turn in a witness list a few weeks ago. Maybe they have by now, but they didn't then. But, if they had any experts, they'd have to ask the court for money to pay for them. So I'm not sure they do. 23 days till you graduate college? Oh my gosh, babe. Congrats. 2026 is your year. Good for you. I'm so happy to hear that. I'm glad it's going good for somebody. Mine's not going bad, but that's very exciting. We're all very excited for you. Our ears was covered again. Yeah, we're supposed to get like 2 to 3 inches in like 4 hours. And they did not cancel school. So you might get to speak at the commencement. Oh, is that because you're a smarty pants? Is that why? That's amazing. Either way, congratulations, Raindrops. So happy that we all got to be a part of this journey with you. Love that. So I was thinking yesterday, I was talking with a lady in gray about whether or not Paul is going to testify. Now, it would be stupid for him to testify, but I mean, does he want, how do you not go up and say something to defend yourself from being a child killer? And clearly, he didn't want people to know that he was a thief stealing from his own family, and how that would look for somebody who cared that much about that to go to this one. I feel like they would probably understand, but we'll see. We'll see. What do you guys think?
I'm sorry.
My body hurts today.
I just want to show you what's been marked as S501. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
Okay, who's in that picture?
Paul with his daughter, Katie.
Okay.
And either Minky or Kaya.
One of the dogs. Did you know the dogs?
Yes.
Did they bark?
Not much.
Okay. Now, does that, and I'm asking you whether you know, because you know them, does that appear to be a picture from the time frame that we're discussing, November of 2018 or somewhere in that time frame?
I couldn't tell you because it may have been before then.
Okay.
It may have been before then.
Okay. Do you recall whether or not that's what Mr. Caneiro looked like back in 2017.
I gotta be honest, I don't have the memory to go back that far to know how he dressed at that point. But I do know that's him, that's his daughter. I'll say, based on the daughter's age, she was probably in her early 20s.
Okay, that's their deck, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Don.
I'm sure Pergola would be back there.
He's buying those
Pergola in the
pergolas.
back there. Great.
Pergola is the word of the day, just to let you all know.
Doctor, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Any redirect? Okay.
Doctor, you mentioned obviously Sophia and Jesse as well just now, and I think the prosecutor talked to you a little bit about them. What was Paul's relationship with Jesse and Sophia?
Very good, fabulous. You know, by the time Jesse and Sophia were coming around, especially when they were, 8, 12 in that ballpark, his children had already been in their 20s. They were older. So it was kind of like having his kids again. So he especially loved Jesse because he had 2 daughters, and he he could do things with Jesse that he may not have done with his daughters. But he loved them very much. And again, whenever we had gatherings together, even between both our houses, those 2 kids essentially had free reign. And it would not be uncommon for Jesse or Sophia to run into our backyard, go into our house, where our kids' playroom was, and play with toys, and they would just go back and forth. So it was a very good relation, and he kind of spoiled them on the holidays. It's life.
And the prosecutor asked you a little bit about whether you had gone to the shooting range with Mr. Caneiro, and I think you mentioned that you went to a different shooting range at some point without Mr. Caneiro to take a gun safety course. Do you remember that?
That was many years ago, and it was down in, I guess, Ocean Township. It was Gun Club Road. It's mainly for skeet shooting.
So just to clarify, did you have your own gun collection?
Yes.
And how old were you approximately when you started owning guns?
I started at age 18.
So the fact that you owned guns and Paul owned guns, was that part of your, just one aspect of your friendship?
It was one aspect of the friendship that we could talk about and communicate.
And lastly, the prosecutor asked you some questions about your surveillance system and things of that nature.
Yes.
Did you ever employ or use the services of Square One to assist with any type of IT work?
Yes, when we had our first practice, everything was on paper, and that was being a thing of the past. So we were going to electronic medical records. So the whole office had to be set up for computers, both wired and wireless. We also needed a server. So we contacted Square One, going through Paul, and they came over and wired the whole office. They set up access points for wireless, and they put in workstations for the receptionists, the nurses, people that would do the billing, and they put a server in. And then as part of that, now that it's a medical practice, it needed to be secured. So I had mentioned to him about HIPAA regulations. We had to make sure that nobody could hack in for information. So he also set up an external firewall. And again, not my technical knowledge, but whatever was needed in case there was a breach, we could refer to Square One for their expertise and our protection. And as part of that, we put a rider on because I would log in from my house to the office. Therefore, my house needed to be protected also.
Gotcha. And so just to, notwithstanding that one aspect of using their services to assist an IT issue with your business and your home, other than that, to clarify, your relationship with Paul and Susan and his family, as well as with Keith and Jennifer and their family, was it more personal or was it business?
More personal.
Thank you.
Any recross?
Just, Doctor, obviously, Mr. Caneiro was very tech savvy, correct?
Correct.
He was able to do all that for your office, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Access points, correct?
Yes.
Able to enable it to, you could remotely access your home from your office and your office from your home.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can step down, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Watch your step.
Thank you, Dr. Gold. Have a lovely day. You seem like the nicest guy.
How's everybody doing? Okay, all right. We'll call, the defense can call our next witness.
Okay, who's next? God, my body hurts so bad today. I think it's the snow. I think I'm that age where the weather affects my bones. Okay. Are we going to hear from Marilyn ever? Remember Marilyn? She was name dropped a lot at the beginning. Remember Marilyn? Marilyn? Oh, Mr. Gold's staying in the gallery for today. Interesting. Monica, looking great as usual.
Did you say who you're calling? You didn't
Oh,
say
yes,
who you were
sorry.
calling.
Ms. Pam Gold.
Miss Pam? Okay, ma'am, come on up.
Oh,
Just watch your step,
Dr.
please.
Jack's wife, Pam Gold.
If you could do me a favor, could you put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Writing. It's not
Okay,
making my
get
hair
yourself
look
seated
good
and
today.
comfortable. And once you are, can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Pamela Gould, Gould.
Ma'am, I'm just going to ask you to do me one favor. During the course of your testimony, please keep your voice up. Jurors number 15 and 16 in the back corner over there, they need to hear you.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you. Ms. Massalone, go ahead.
Good morning. Ms. Gould, can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Good morning. My name is Pam Gould, officially Pamela, but I use Pam.
And what is your current occupation?
I am retired.
And what's your educational background?
I graduated from Montclair State College in December of 1984 with a bachelor's in business administration.
And are you married to Dr. Jack Gould, who we just heard from?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously we just heard from your husband, so we already have, background. We know that you and your husband were neighbors with the Caneiros for many years. So I just want to focus on the nature of your relationship with them.
Okay.
Generally, can you describe your relationship with Paul and his family and how it developed over time?
We were very, very close for 25 years or so when we were back neighbors. They moved in about 6 months after we did. Our children are all about a year staggered apart. So the kids became fast friends and we became fast friends. Over the years, we became closer and closer, really extended family.
Her sweater has little hearts on it. It's very
What kind
cute.
of things did your family and the Caneiro family do together?
A lot of hanging out in our backyards, but we also vacationed together, dinners out, dinners in, movies. We went to a couple Broadway shows, traveled a couple times together as families, lots of barbecues in our backyards.
So did you consider yourself and your family close to the Caneiro family?
Extremely.
Okay. And did you consider them like family?
Absolutely. Extended family for sure.
And in the Caneiro family, who were you?
Yum.
How often would you see the Caneiros?
Susan and I spent much more time together than with the kids when they were younger, but Susan and I would spend maybe 2-3 days a week together, sometimes more. In the summer, we would just be out in the yard with the kids, but on average, probably 2 to 3 times a week.
Were there times when you would see her more than that?
Yeah, for sure. In the summers, we would basically see almost daily. If the weather was good, we'd be outside with kids playing. They had a pool, we had a pool. We would go back and forth between the 2 yards.
And since you were close with Susan and Paul and their family, and spent a lot of time together, including the summer barbecues and things of that nature, did you also have the occasion to spend time with Keith and Jennifer Caneiro and their family?
Yes.
And can you explain how you came to know them?
Well, they were always present for Christmas Eve, was always at the Caneiro house. So Keith and Jen were always there with some other people on and off, whoever it was that year, but they were there every year for Christmas Eve. And then when we would just be in the yard, if it was a barbecue or one of the kids' birthdays or a 4th of July weekend holiday, they would come over and spend the day in the yard with the Caneiro family and my family.
And so based on how well you knew the Caneiro family, how would you describe Paul?
Paul is very intelligent, very well-read, sometimes opinionated, but a very kind, giving soul.
And would you consider him like a helpful person?
Extremely helpful. He would offer up advice and physical help whenever there was a problem with our pool or our internet, which I'm sure my husband spoke about,
Yes.
that kind of stuff.
You mentioned, what was his demeanor like? What was his demeanor like?
He was very jovial and even-tempered.
Even-tempered?
Even-tempered, yes. Never saw him lose his temper, yell, scream, nothing like that.
And based on how well you knew Paul and Keith and the interactions, like the frequency you would see them and your interactions with them, I want to ask you about the nature of their relationship. How would you describe Keith and Paul's relationship?
Very close, very close.
And can you explain more about that?
Paul was very protective of Keith, took care of Keith, that I saw personally, but we also heard stories of when they were growing up.
So I don't want to elicit any hearsay, nothing that anyone else said.
Okay.
Just based on your personal knowledge and what you know and what you've observed and what you've seen, is there anything else that you can tell us about just, either the bond between Keith and Paul or how close they were, things of that nature?
They were very close. They spent a lot of time together, obviously working together, but also outside of work. They spent a lot of time together.
And what about when Keith went back to school?
Paul was 100% supportive.
And do you have any knowledge of how Paul and Keith might typically handle disagreements with each other?
I believe they talked them out, never saw anything physical. Sometimes it would get a little contentious or tense, but it was always hashed out, and then they would pick up where they left off, go get something for lunch or dinner, and have a laugh.
And I also want to ask you about Paul and his relationship with Jesse and Sophia. How would you describe that?
Paul loved those kids like his own, especially had a very close bond with Jesse.
And when you say a close bond with Jesse, are you aware of any specific things that they would do together?
I know they did lunch dates from time to time, and you could just see the bond when they were together. They would just connect.
And
That was very emotional today.
are you aware of any renovations that Paul and Susan had at the house?
Yes.
And what was the approximate time frame of the renovations?
It was over the course of a couple of years. I don't remember what years those were, but it was over the course of a few years.
Was it like closer to, if you could just approximate, was it like after 2015 or around that time or
Probably
closer-
around 2015.
around then?
I think so.
And you said over the course of a few years?
A couple of years, yeah.
And can you tell us based on your knowledge, like what do you know about the renovations?
It was a full house reno, done room by room. Bathrooms, kitchen, new floors, sheetrock, moldings, everything was replaced and updated.
And how did Paul, like when he would talk about the renovations, how did he express himself? Without saying what he said, but what was your general impression?
Oh, he was very excited. He was very involved he did a lot of research on all the products, and he was very excited about updating everything and like to talk about it a lot.
I think about that. They probably would have brought it up.
Anything,
Sorry.
Maybe.
are you aware of a backpack that Paul typically had?
I know he had a backpack, yes.
Okay, and do you know where he kept it or where?
I believe it stayed in the car most of the time.
Okay.
And I want to draw your attention to November 19th of 2018. Do you remember that?
I do.
And what, if anything, was special about that day?
That was my birthday.
And did you do anything that day to celebrate it with anyone in the Caneiro family?
Susan came over in the afternoon and we had a cup of tea.
And do you know around what time that was?
Probably around 2:30 or so till about 4:30.
And to your knowledge, where was Paul at that time?
He was sleeping.
And do you know, to your knowledge, do you know why? Objection.
Sustained. Oh, sorry, come on up.
So he was sleeping between 2:30 and 4:30. And then according to what Paul told, I think, AI fire guy, was that he slept from 6 to 11. So was he like very sick or something? Like, that's a lot of sleeping during that day. It's interesting. I mean, listen, there's a lot of good people who do commit murder. Like, it's not, you're more likely to be murdered by your family member than some rando. So, I mean, they're doing their best with character witnesses right now. And
based on how well you knew the Caneiro family, was it usual or unusual, either way, for Paul to be sleeping around that time?
It happened periodically. It wasn't a daily thing, but it did happen periodically.
Okay. And do you know why?
Objection.
Don't answer that. Ladies and gentlemen, can you go in the jury room for a second, please?
Ruh-roh. What was I gonna say? I forget what it was. Oh, shoot. I forget what it was. But yeah, they're doing their best to try to make him look like a human being because, I've had a hard time struggling in this trial of trying to comprehend Paul doing this to his niece and nephew. Because it's freaking horrific.
Everybody can be seated.
What happened?
So for the record, we're outside the presence of the jury. How do you know that he would be sleeping at times during the day?
Susan would tell me.
Right. And as to why he would be sleeping, how would you know that information?
Susan would tell me that he was having a headache.
Okay. All right. So that's all hearsay. I'm not going to allow those questions to be asked. So Ms. Massalone, I had said it already at sidebar. We went back to it again. I'm ordering you not to do that, to go down that line of questioning now that we know for sure. We've heard the answer from the juror. So we will allow the direct to continue. I heard one go into the bathroom, so we'll just check that. As soon as they're not in the bathroom anymore, we'll bring them back out, okay? All right.
Can I just put my position on the record, which is simply that even if it is hearsay, it falls under the exception of state of mind and present medical condition. I understand the court had a prior ruling with respect to the time frame of when Keith was on the phone with Paul that evening. That and the court had a concern, I guess, about the issue of reliability. But I think asking this witness generally over time why Mr. Caneiro would be typically sleeping at a certain time during the day, and referencing a medical issue that was the reason, that there is an issue of reliability, because there's no reason for, that's the whole purpose of hearsay, is we don't want to elicit statements out of court that are unreliable, but this would be a reliable statement because we're just talking about generalities and over time, and this is earlier in the day. So I don't, even if it is hearsay, I think it does fall under an exception. And that's there.
Ms. Wallace, do you want to respond?
If the statement submitted is hearsay, that doesn't fall under the state of mind exception because the state of mind would not be relevant to anything. It's squarely hearsay. The defense filed 1,000 motions over the summer that this could have been hashed out then. The state filed motions to bring in certain hearsay that were heard. The state's position is that this does not fall under state of mind evidence.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to hold it against the defense for not bringing this out based upon certain case law that exists. However, I do agree that under the state of mind exception to the hearsay rule, I do not find this to be relevant to the circumstances here. I find that whether it's reliable or not, that's not the reason that the court is not going to be allowing this information. It's the question really is for this court is what is the relevance to this information as it relates to this case. I don't find it to, one, be relevant, nor number two, do I find it fits under the exception of the state of mind and or any other hearsay exception. So therefore, I'm not going to allow that question to be asked. And ma'am, I'm going to also order you, now you're hearing me saying what I'm saying, you are not allowed to just elicit or just say that information.
Okay.
All right, because I'm saying right now that that information should not go before the jury, okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that. So as soon as we have our jurors ready, we'll bring them back out. And I apologize to everyone for the little coughing fit I just had.
By the way, the rapper guy the whole time has been the judge. I'm pretty sure we've narrowed it down to being the judge. Just opening those freaking rappers every day for the last 4 weeks, 5 weeks, however long we've been here. You're lucky. We like you, Judge. Because it has been painful to hear. Very painful. So, did you go be like, well, the defense filed thousands of motions.
Direct examination, go ahead.
So we were discussing November 19th of 2018, and it was your birthday. Later that night, did you celebrate your birthday?
Yes.
Okay. And then what's the next thing that happened after that?
Katie, Mr. Caneiro's daughter, called us at shortly after 5 a.m. to tell us that there was a fire at their house and we should get our dogs and get out of the house in case there was a chance of it jumping to our house.
Okay. And did you see the Caneiro family at all that morning?
I did not.
Okay. And
Me too. He's
what
good,
was
my
the reason
cop.
for that?
All right.
We couldn't get to them through the backyard because of all of the fire activity. We couldn't get around on the street side because it was all blocked off.
And did Susan spend the night with you that night?
Yes.
And obviously, a lot of time has passed since November of 2018. Are you still close with the Caneiro family?
Yes, very much.
Thank you.
Where did Paul stay?
Cross.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Ms. Gould.
Good morning.
Just a couple of questions. You indicated that you would see Mr. Caneiro and interact with his brother and Jennifer and the kids on occasions.
Yes.
And I think you indicated that those would be, maybe you didn't, but what kinds of occasions would those be?
Christmas Eve always, and then if there was a birthday party for one of the girls or a barbecue on the weekend, haphazardly, sometimes a holiday, sometimes just to have a barbecue.
Okay, so it was on rare occasions that you would see them interact.
Occasional.
And it would be during happy times, right?
Yes.
Vacations, barbecues, things like that. Yes.
Yes.
Certainly, you didn't know how Keith Caneiro and the defendant interacted with one another when nobody was around. Is that correct?
Correct.
You weren't privy to any of their private communications, right?
Private, no.
Or their interactions over the phone?
Personally, no.
No. You were not present for any of their discussions regarding business, right?
Not that I can recall,
Or
just
any of their disagreements?
casual conversations, but nothing.
You didn't know anything about any financial arrangements that they had, is that correct?
Correct.
You didn't know anything about the defendant's financial situation, is that right?
Yes.
He didn't confide in you about his finances or anything like that?
No.
And you didn't know about any escalating tensions between Keith and the defendant in 2018, did you?
Go ahead, what's your objection?
She's characterizing it as escalating, and that's argumentative.
Okay, just ask it differently.
Sure. Did you know anything about any tensions between Keith and his brother Paul in 2018?
No.
You weren't aware of any arguments that they may or may not have had, is that right?
Nothing specific, no.
You weren't aware of any frustrations that Keith may have had with his brother Paul, is that correct?
Objection asked and answered as far as she's not aware of any of these private conversations.
I'm going to allow it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
Sure. You weren't aware of any frustrations that Keith may or may not have had with his brother Paul, is that correct?
Correct.
You weren't aware of any future plans that Keith may or may not have communicated to his brother Paul about their businesses, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And were you aware of any other financial situations with regard to the defendant being the trustee of an insurance policy?
I do not believe I was aware of that then.
Okay. Is it fair to say you were closer with Susan Caneiro than you were with Paul Caneiro?
We spent more time together, yes.
And in fact, you indicated you saw her on November 19th.
Yes.
You guys had tea together?
Yes,
Did you see the defendant on that date?
I did not.
And certainly you did not see Keith on that date, is that right?
Correct.
And you weren't privy to any phone conversations that the two of them may have had or may not have had, is that correct?
Correct.
You weren't privy to who was angry, is that right?
Objection, again, just this has been established.
I'm going to sustain the objection to the form of that question. So you can ask it differently, but I think that question is improper. Go ahead.
Ma'am, were you aware of any communications that Keith and Paul had on the night of November 19th?
No, I was not.
So you were not aware of any ultimatums that Keith had given Paul that night?
Yeah, I'm going to sustain the objection. She doesn't know, so she doesn't know. We're going to leave it there.
You indicated that you were close to Susan Caneiro. Were you aware then that she and the defendant slept in separate bedrooms?
Yes.
Were you aware that Susan actually slept in the master bedroom?
Yes.
Were you aware that the master bedroom right beneath that is the origin of the fire?
Yes.
I have nothing further, Judge.
Okay. Any redirect?
The summer of 2018, how often would you see Paul and Susan and their families?
The summer of 18, probably 3 or 4 times a week.
Okay, and how often would you see Keith and Jennifer and their kids?
Over the course of that summer, maybe 3 times.
Okay, and you also, you mentioned holidays, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and so you've known the Caneiro family for how long?
Since 1996, so 25 years at the time.
Okay, and obviously you didn't see Keith and Jennifer and their family as often as you saw Paul and Susan's family, right?
Right.
Okay, but did you see them like regularly? How often?
A couple times a year, minimum. 3, maybe 4 times a year.
And that's over the course of 20-something years?
Yes.
And did you ever, even if you weren't present with them, were there occasions where you would just learn things generally, without saying what you learned, just learn things generally about the family?
I don't know what. Come on.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm back. Sidebar. Sorry, I will feet woke up. Oh, good morning, Lady in Gray. Thanks for stopping in while you're on break. We've been doing character witnesses this morning so far. 2
Ladies
neighbors.
and gentlemen, I'm going to sustain the objection to that question, but I'm going to allow a new question.
And they've objected more than they have in the last 5 weeks.
Did you talk to Susan regularly?
Didn't even know they knew that word.
When?
Just generally
Oh,
over the
yes.
course of all the many years you've known
Yes,
her?
absolutely.
And did you also talk to Paul regularly over the course of the many years you've known him?
Less frequently, but regularly, yes.
Regularly.
Yes.
And when you would talk to Susan and Paul, or maybe their children, was a topic of discussion often family?
Periodically. Sure.
And there were obviously a lot of questions about what you don't know, right? Was your relationship with Paul and Susan and their family, was it, and Keith and Jennifer, was it more personal or was it business?
Personal.
And obviously you can only speak to what you know, right?
Yes.
Based on what you do know, do you, did you ever have any concerns about the relationship between Paul and Keith?
Objection.
Sustained. For that question.
I'll just ask you this one more time. Based on what you do know, how would you describe the closeness of Paul and Keith and their
Sorry, I have
families?
quite the hang.
They were very close. Paul loved Keith and Jen and those children.
Thank you.
You can step down, man.
All right, hang on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our mid-morning break right now. Please don't discuss this case, do any research. We'll see you back at about 10:25 or so, depending on when you're ready. Thank you.
Well, snow's likely to end at 12:30. Really interesting. Sorry. Checking my weather. Anyway, good mid-morning to everybody. It's been an interesting morning for us. The state rested their case. Our prayers were answered. And we've now had 2 witnesses for the defense, character witnesses, the neighbors who live behind Paul, the Goulds.
All good? All good. All right,
They
so everyone
use
take a break.
their-
We'll see you back at 10:25.
Security cameras. They live in a house that had the headlights coming out of the driveway. So they were testifying, they're a lovely couple. I'd like to hang out with them. But let's see. I bet the jury's happy it won't be 10 weeks. Well, let's not get too excited. Okay. I don't know how it could possibly last that many more weeks, but we don't know. We don't know who the defense is calling. We don't know their witness list. We don't know anything about their case in chief because the prosecution didn't know hardly anything about it either, like a week and a half ago. Who all they're going to call is, I don't know. I mean, yeah, they're going to call a lot of character witnesses because after medical examiner Wednesday and hearing the horrific events of that night and what each person suffered, that is a huge hurdle to overcome. I mean, we already were we couldn't see Paul doing that to his family. But even after those, the medical examiner's testimony, it's even harder to see. I mean, or I should say, our brains don't want that to be the truth. My brain doesn't anyway, because I can't comprehend how you can do that to your niece and nephew. I mean, your brother and sister-in-law as well, but particularly to those 2 small children. They went through truly awful things. So, hello, Wendy. Hello, other Wendy with a Y. We got a Wendy with a Y, a Wendy with an I. I love that. Andy says 10 weeks. Hold my beer. That's exactly. I don't know. Do we think Paul is going to take the stand is what I'm definitely wondering about. It would be, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but we've seen quite a few defendants take the stand in our time covering trials. So you just never know. The state did not call Corey, which I personally think was a good idea. Because you don't want to risk somebody being on the stand that, is family, also who the defense is pointing their finger at. People do, yes, Lady and Gray, people do terrible things to their own kids. I don't understand that kind of sickoness. I mean, yeah, we can sit here and we can talk about how good of a guy Paul was, how good he was to Keith and Jennifer and Jesse and Sophia. But guess what? It literally happens all of the time that a family member goes and kills other family members. It's like 80% of cases, and or, even people in marriage. Like, it literally happens all of the time. I think what I struggle though with Paul doing it is his lack of mercy, the killer of those two children and their lack of mercy. Like, if you're going to stab them 11, 17 times, how many is that together? That's 28 times. You stab two children. You can't show them mercy and just, I don't know, stab them directly in the heart so that way they don't suffer. Because listen, Sophia suffered, as did Jesse. And I don't know how you would just leave them there. Because they did not die right away. Especially Sophia. I just, Keith and Jennifer both had gunshot wounds to their head. I mean, Jennifer was stabbed as well in the front and the back, actually. But their suffering ended very quickly. The same was not the same for Jesse and Sophia. As a matter of fact, many of Jesse's stab wounds were non-fatal. They're mostly in like the arm area. And, what a horror those two children had to live through. It's awful. And, when I was thinking about it over the weekend, like, we know that Sophia had a lot of defensive wounds. She was fighting back as best as she could. Bless her. What a little sweetheart. And, when they showed us pictures of the bruising on Paul's body, it makes more sense now looking at those pictures of a 45-pound, 8-year-old little girl fighting back. They weren't, the bruises weren't like, whoa, but yeah, because it was a 45-pound little girl, she's going to leave some bruises, but not, that you would expect from like an adult or something fighting back, like Jennifer or somebody, And then I was thinking too, he had like the little cut on the back of his hand, which to me did not look like it came from a knife at all. What we learned from Sophia's autopsy as well was that there was a lot of bruising on her face, a lot, and torn tendon, like this one, right? That guy kind of like goes this way. Basically, I think they were implying that she had like a split lip. Anyway, she had been hit in the face, all right, in layman terms. She had been hit in the face, up by the eye and the jaw. And so, I don't know, I was thinking that maybe that mark that's on the back of his hand was actually from hitting her with his hand and her teeth, making that little mark in his hand. I could see that being the case. Not with a knife, which does surprise me with her fighting back the way that she did. And listen, Jesse tried to get away as well, and Jennifer, like they did, but they didn't have as many defensive wounds as Sophia. That I am surprised that whoever did this, if it's Paul, that they didn't have knife cuts on their hands, even if they were wearing gloves. I mean, it's very easy when you are stabbing somebody and clearly in a frenzy that you cut your hand. But it doesn't happen every time. Oh, Lynn, were you not here on Wednesday? I'm sorry. I kind of like had to shove Wednesday out of my mind because it was awful. Oh my gosh, those autopsies were just awful. I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of the pictures. Well, what we did see, we did our best to not show because respectfully, no, thank you. But there were still lots they didn't put up, especially Sophia, even to the jury. It was horrible. It was way worse. Like what we had already kind of knew was bad and awful to think about. But then hearing the further details of their bodies after the fact was very hard to hear. And then especially the way the fires what's the word I'm looking for? The disfigurement of what happened to everyone's bodies is just, it was awful. It was very, very awful to hear. Yeah, I was like not okay Wednesday till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. I was just like, you know, stunned from it. It was one of the worst in the medical examiner's testimony I've ever heard. You know, so yeah, I mean, you can go back and watch it, but I'm just gonna just be prepared to be like emotionally devastated when you hear what all happened to them. But I mean, it explains why Sophia in particular, her blood and DNA and hair was all over those clothes. Like that explains that a lot more. Little Sophia, bless her heart, she didn't even know that she was leaving stuff behind, you know. So what a fighter she was. And continued to, like, that's, oh gosh, it's so hard to think about. So they said that her carbon monoxide level was at like 49%. Jesse's was at 8%, meaning that they were alive and breathing, at least. Conscious, don't know. They didn't really specify or say anything about that. I don't know if they could really tell anyway, but that does mean that they were at least breathing when the fire started. But Jesse only had 8%, which they described that of like a smoker, right? Like that's how much carbon monoxide you have in your blood. It's not fatal or anything, but it does mean that he was in fact breathing for a little while before passing away. Sophia's was 49%, which is a fatal amount of inhaling smoke. And that definitely means she was alive for a long time. And I mean, even by a long time, it could be 10 minutes, 15, 20, could be longer than that. We don't know. But even every minute had to have felt forever, you know. And was she alive when the flames got to her? I hope not. I really do. I hope not, but we don't know. So Lynn says the whole case hits hard being so close to home. It's a first for me to follow one so local. Yeah, it's just, oh, I just don't understand. It's so senseless. Well, you know, most murder is senseless, but I just, tough. Did they say what a fatal percentage is? Just curious. I think it was in the 40 percentile. I just don't remember the exact number. I want to say 41 or 43. She was like just above the fatal amount. So I don't recall like what the exact amount was, but it was there. So Sam says oh, hi Sam. Hi. Good morning. Hope you're doing well, babe. She says, I was on the replay crew for Wednesday, and I definitely needed a few hours to decompress from learning about the horrors the kids and Jennifer went through. Yeah, I can't imagine what that house in the foyer looked like if there wasn't a fire. I mean, we saw what the kitchen looked like from Jesse being chased around, and then I can't imagine what the foyer looked like had there not been a fire. So, Lady Grace says, was that her COD then? I missed that. For her and Jennifer, oh, no, I'm sorry. For Sophia, yes, that and blood loss. They couldn't say either. So she had two. They gave her, and then same for Jesse because he was alive. But or maybe they wouldn't know for Jesse. There was one where they gave two. Oh, it was Jennifer because she was stabbed and shot. So she had two, causes as well, if I remember right. But for Sophia, I believe they listed both smoke inhalation and bleeding out. So, yeah, it's pretty. It was not a good day. It was not a good day. But you know, I hope that wherever the Caneiro family is, that they are happy and together and at peace. I know that they were cremated and their ashes were all put into one urn so that they were still together. So I thought that was, you know, rather weirdly comforting and beautiful. But I can't imagine the families not being able to say goodbye to them. I really doubt they were allowed to see Jennifer and Sophia, particularly both Jennifer and Sophia also had fire damage to their body. Oh, it's so bad. So bad. So that's just, you know, awful. I imagine those first responders have nightmares. Yeah. Though, I mean, I don't know. I know I am not cut out for that field at all. And I have mad respect for anybody and first responders, hospitals, to have to see that kind of trauma to the body was, and the medical examiners. I mean, you know, they what was the last guy? Dr. Zhang, was that his name? However old that guy is, I don't know. He's been doing it for like 40 years and looks great. He'd done like 5,000 autopsies. And even he seemed particularly bothered by Sophia's autopsy. So, yeah, you wouldn't want to remember them. Not the way that they described. No. Liz says, do you think he'll be getting flashbacks, etc. now? I mean, I don't know. I would think whoever did that, I would like to think that they have some sense of, you know, remorse, but, you know, I don't know. I don't know. He's seen Dr. Zhang. Yes. And gosh, he kept calling Sophia a baby. And she was, you know, she's only 8. And Jesse too, he was 11. They are little babies. But he was constantly calling her a baby and then correcting himself to child. And I think like that was like his emotion coming out in a weird way. So, oh, you're getting over being sick? Oh, everybody is sick. Thankfully, I haven't been yet. So Pam says, oh, yes, that's right. Your son is a first responder. I forgot about that. Says that kids are the most horrific and maddening. Yeah, I can't. I can't imagine at all. And again, how do you do that? I don't understand, but that's why we're here on this side of the law, because we can't even fathom that. So, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how he had the energy to do all of it. To be honest.
All right, be seated. Thank you.
It was very confrontational, very hand-in-hand. There was chasing involved.
Something to take care of the cough. No more coughing. You guys can yell at me if I cough again.
What about the Raptors?
All right. So we're back on the record, and we'll continue with the defense's case. The defense can call their next witness.
The defense is going to call on Mr. Jim Pritchett.
Okay.
Jim Pritchett. I thought she was about to say the defense is going to arrest, and I would be like, Jim Pritchett. I guess. Let's see if I'm right. Now, I heard that gentleman sitting next to her sister is actually her sister's husband and not their dad. I don't know. I don't know who any of the people in the gallery are.
I'm just gonna walk around to the
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Just watch your step as you're coming up here. And then when you get over towards the witness stand, if you could just put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you can take your seat.
Thank you.
Sir. And once you're comfortable, can you tell us your full name and spell your last name, please?
It's James Pritchett. That's P as in Peter, Ritchett.
I didn't spell that right.
So I'm just going to ask you to do me one favor. When you speak, please make sure you speak loud enough so that jurors number 15 and 16 can hear you, okay?
I'll try.
Okay. If not, I'll keep an eye on you, all right?
Thank you.
I got you. All right. Ms. Mastalone, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Pritchett. Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, good morning. I'm James Pritchett, but I go by Jim.
And are you currently working?
I'm retired now.
And what did you do before you retired?
Most leading up to retirement, I was in B2B sales for an insurance company. And then before that, I ran a business for Morgan Stanley.
And even though you're retired, do you do any type of work currently?
I volunteer. I volunteer at a local community center. I chair a couple of committees and was on the board for a couple of years. I'm also a what's known as a CASA. It's a court-appointed special advocate for children in the New Jersey foster care system.
Aww.
And what's your educational background?
I have an undergrad degree in psychology, and I have an MBA in finance and investments.
And who do you live with?
I live with my wife, Stacy.
Okay. I want to first talk to you about the Caneiro family. Do you know Paul Caneiro and his family?
Yes.
And other than Paul, who else is in his immediate family?
There's Sue, or Susan, his wife, and his daughters, Katie and Marissa.
And can you tell us a little bit about how you know them?
Yeah, I met them. I met the entire Caneiro family back in 1993. I started dating my wife, and she's very good friends with Susan. And so I started going to different functions that they were having, like different events. They had a barbecue, I think was the first time. And, started hanging out with them over the summer on a pretty regular basis. And then at the end of 93, I was at their house for Christmas Eve.
Okay, and so 1993, approximately how many years is it that you've known them?
Probably it would be about 33 years, sometime in April or May.
Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about how well you know the Caneiro family. You kind of started to go into it, but can you explain to us how over time your relationship with Paul and his family developed?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time together. Stacy, my wife, was pretty good friends with Susan, if not best friends. And we would go and hang out with them. We lived in the city, they lived in New Jersey, so it was a good way to escape the city. And we just started talking about things. You know, we had common background. We did, kind of blue collar growing up. And so, I grew up in the Bronx. They were from Brooklyn and Staten Island, and we just started hitting it off. So as I started becoming more friendly, it meant that, we were both going out and spending more time with them.
And what about your kids? Were your kids and close with the Caneiro kids?
Yeah, they're like family, I've known Katie since she was, 2 years old maybe. Marissa since the day she was born, and my girls have known them all of their lives. And given the amount of time that we spend with them, it's family thing, I suppose.
And over time, like, what are the different types of activities you could tell the jury that, you and Paul and Susan and the girls and your family, what kind of activities and things would you do, kind of get-togethers, things of that nature?
Lots of barbecues over the summer, I guess, as soon as, it starts off with kind of Katie's birthday, because she was end of April, all the way through the end of the summer, just being down, having barbecues. Sue and Paul seem to always love to host, and we were happy to take advantage of that. We were down there so much, probably should have been paying them a rental fee for being there in the summer. Beyond that, birthday parties for all of our kids. We went on vacations together, went to Spain, went to our first trip to Disney with our girls was a joint trip with the families. And Hershey Park is another one where, we've gone multiple times with them. Even actually taking Katie and Marissa at times where Sue and Paul didn't go. So.
And you mentioned earlier that you were living in the city. At some point, did you move to New Jersey? And at some point, did you move to New Jersey?
We did. We moved after 9/11. We moved into town up in Union County.
Is this like 2001?
2001, yeah. Beginning of 2002, by the time we actually got to physically move in.
And once you moved to New Jersey, did you then see the Caneiro family like even more often?
Probably every other week, it seemed like, and wasn't so much of an issue in terms of traveling and everything, especially for us back then. Being in the city made it a little bit harder to see them, but then we were able to just kind of jump on the parkway and see them a lot more. And
would you consider yourself and your family close with the Caneiro family?
Yeah, we kind of think of them as an extension of our family. I mean, we have spent so much time with them.
And how do you refer to Katie and Marissa?
They're like our nieces in a sense, and I think that our daughters and Katie and Marissa think of themselves almost as cousins because they've spent so much time together. So.
Okay. And so it sounds like you saw them fairly often.
Yes.
During the occasions that you would see them, whether it's barbecue or a holiday, I'm not sure if you mentioned that. Did you spend Christmas with them?
Christmas Eve was kind of a tradition for us, I think, pretty much since 1993.
Did you know the Goulds?
Yes.
Okay. And so in light of the time that you've spent with the Caneiro family, whether it's barbecues, summers, weekends, holidays, did you have the occasion to also get to know Keith and Jennifer and their family?
Yes. When I first met Keith, it was actually at the Christmas Eve thing in '93, the get-together. And then eventually, once he and Jennifer started dating, I started seeing her more. And then, when Jesse and Sophia were born, we saw them as well because they were over a lot with them too.
Mm-hmm. We're in the defenseless space now.
And just to kind of tie it all together, what kind of events and holidays and get-togethers would you see Jennifer and Keith and the kids?
Well, they were there for the barbecues too. They were there for different birthday parties. We might have been at their houses we had been at their houses for birthday parties for both Jesse and Sophia. They'd be over for Katie and Marissa's. So we would see them with that. Just basically every function that you could think of. I mean, it was kind of a close-knit circle, so, we were always there.
Did you go to their wedding?
We did, yeah.
And so based on how well you knew the Caneiro family and how well you knew Paul, how would you describe Paul?
Paul's smart, level-headed, very loyal in a sense, and I guess giving. You know, he was always willing to lend a hand with different things, you know, either sharing an opinion or, hey, I need help doing something. He made himself available.
And how would you describe the relationship between Keith and Paul?
They were brothers and they were really close. You know, I don't have a brother, but if I did, I would have loved to have had that type of relationship in terms of how close they were.
What about their bond? How would you describe their bond?
I gotta try something.
They were close, and it was kind of the Caneiro brothers against the world, whether it was just sitting there, you know, talking about something, you know, or having a discussion, or if they were, you know, in business, same sort of thing. Just, you know, them against the world. They were just really close and loyal to one another.
And what about Paul's relationship with Jesse and Sophia? What can you tell us about that?
I know Paul loved both of them. You know, like having grown up with daughters, you know, Sophia was just, you know, another beautiful little girl, and, you know, he loved Jesse. I thought that he was a calming influence on Jesse, and I don't know, it seemed like there was a special bond between the two of them, because he was really the only little boy out of the group, Paul and Susan having girls, myself having girls. He was the only kind of boy in the mix for a while, so.
Thank you. Now, focusing on a little bit of their business relationship. Are you aware of the two businesses that Paul and Keith own together?
Yes.
And have you ever been to the business's location in Homedale?
Yes, I have.
And what about the one in Asbury?
Yes, I spent time there too.
And you mentioned you spent time there. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I had left Morgan Stanley in 2010. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And Keith and Paul had offered me office space, and while I kind of figured out what I was going to do there. And so I got to spend significant time at both the Homedale office and at the Asbury Park office.
And when you were there, did you have the occasion to interact with Paul and Keith?
Yeah, on a pretty regular basis, I did.
And so how would you describe their business relationship?
It was good. They worked together. They complemented one another in terms of the skill sets. You know, they kind of understood that, again, I guess I said this before, but it was them against the world. They were going to do what they needed to do to figure out how to make the business work best and to be able to succeed.
And how would you describe Paul and Paul's way of communicating?
Paul's always been a bit more measured, level, kind of direct about it. He didn't, you know, he was more reserved, I suppose.
Was he more emotional versus logical?
No, he a lot more logical and even about things.
What about Keith's way of communicating with Paul?
Keith was animated in general. It was just kind of his style where, you know, he would challenge a certain notion or presumption. You know, if they were doing something with the business, he'd want to know, well, can you explain to me how this works or something? And, you know, but it was like almost throwing down a gauntlet for responses to problem solve. So
was his approach more logical and more emotional?
It was more emotional. I mean, again, they were a good complement from a business perspective. on there. Like, he needed to have things proven to him, and he was going to let you, there was no mystery about what Keith was actually thinking from that perspective. It wasn't a negative, it was just different from Paul.
So, and since you've had the occasion to see a lot of their communications when you were present, of course, did you have the occasion to see any disagreements between the two?
Yeah, yes.
And how would you describe those disagreements?
I think that I'd probably describe them as constructive conflict, because Keith would kind of put something out there and, it would be in his animated sort of way with everything on his sleeve, and Paul would sit there and listen to Keith and go through it and then kind of explain, well, here's why these things work over there. So again, kind of a complementary way that they communicated, and once they figured out the issue, it was good. I think it was just an interesting way. It's not as corporate, I would say. Like, having worked in the corporate world, every idea is great, even though it may not be, but every idea is great and everybody's opinion matters. But you don't have that same sort of thing in a smaller business. And I think that they were really effective in that sense.
Okay, and as far as their relationship as business partners, how would you describe their partnership?
They were partners. They were equals, I guess. It was a 50-50 partnership in the sense of how they did the business. Paul might have been maybe a little bit more technical than Keith, but they were equals in the business, and that's the reason for a lot of the discussions that they had.
And
I don't think this is helping.
to your knowledge,
actually.
did one brother contribute more than the other? Because you're talking about equals, and notwithstanding ownership specifically, but more so just in the way that they handled the business day to day, the activities.
Jack, calls for yours.
So they're calling character witnesses right now, basically to talk about how Paul was a very even-tempered guy. Nobody ever saw him get angry about anything. And that he loved Keith. They had a great relationship. He loved the children. He loved the whole family. Which, okay, fine. All right, sure. But they also keep talking about how smart Paul is, about how tech savvy Paul is, which is not good things you really kind of want brought up when whoever did this to Keith's family knew how to cut everything and a little smart in that sense. So not the greatest. And now they're saying that, Paul contributed a lot more to the business, right? We've been hearing that with Square One, Keith had 90% ownership, Paul had 10%. And then for their pest control, it was 50-50. And so I don't think that's helping their case with with Paul, when we know that they were losing a big client for Square One. Keith wanted to shut all the businesses down. That would probably piss me off as a partner in a business that I've spent a lot of time doing stuff. I don't know if this is as helpful as they think it is. I don't know. That's just my thoughts so far on this. Yes, they were they're enlightening. The girl's hair in the back, which one? Which girl? I haven't really been paying attention to the gallery. Yeah, everybody has skeletons. We've seen people kill for less. So, I mean, I don't know. Listen, this is the best that they can really do. The state rested first thing this morning. So they end their case with the medical examiners, which makes whoever did this a horrific monster. So they are trying their best to try to make Paul as human as possible, and but they're going to need a lot more than, oh, well, Paul's just a nice guy. He would never. Well, there's a lot of nice people in prison who did kill their family or people in general. So they're doing their best, though. Listen, they got a mountain to climb. All right. I know that sometimes Monica and especially Andy are very annoying, but let's just say they are doing their best to zealously represent their clients, and I'll give them that, even if it's like, ugh, oh no, spike ponytail. Okay, I'll have to keep an eye out. I haven't. There's quite a few people in the gallery. I'm not sure who everyone is in the gallery. I thought I did, but then I heard that I was wrong. So I don't really know. I know who Jennifer's mom is and who her sister is. Everybody else, I don't know. I don't know at all. I've heard his daughters are in there, but I couldn't tell you what they actually look like. So, or if that's even true, I have no idea. So sorry, friends. So sorry. So, what was I going to say? Farts. It was about this guy and the business. It'll come to me later, I'm sure.
We're going to just ask a different question. All right.
Paul has also been very emotional today. Honestly, more so than seeing freaking horrific pictures that happened to his family.
When you were at the, this was like around 2010, 2011 or so?
Yes.
And so when you were at the, and I think you mentioned you were renting office space or using office space?
I was using it, yeah.
Did you ever engage with Paul and Keith and discuss the businesses with them?
Yes.
And without saying like what was said, can you just talk generally about, just like the types of things that you guys would discuss with respect to the businesses?
Mm-hmm.
I was getting ready to say typical, but discussions about whether or not how you finance certain things. Do you buy? Do you lease? How do you interface with the media on certain things for a business? What your approach would be to doing that. So like public relations type things, just different issues where there's like two different viewpoints, but specifically, finance, marketing.
And so were you like sitting with them in the same
Yes.
room having discussions?
Yes.
And were they asking for your opinion? Were you consulting with them?
They asked me what I thought, given some of the experience I had out in the business world. Could be like, hey, is it better to just own something outright, or are we better off leasing and financing something? Or, as I was saying before, the issue of how you interface with the media on certain things without getting too into detail. There was an issue of bed bugs, and there were different interviews going on, as an example of something.
You're talking about the pest control business?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so just based on like your observations during this time where you're watching the brothers communicate and watching them discuss the businesses, did it seem like they were taking like equal part in the conversation?
Yes, they did.
And based on what you were able to observe from the day-to-day while you were there, was it your impression that the brothers were working together? Was one brother doing more than the other, or were they doing it?
Judge, the same question from before, and how do you know what time we're talking about?
And it's leading. So I'll allow you to ask a different question, but Mr. Decker is correct. Are we talking about 2010 and 11? I'm not really sure.
Right, during the time that you were there at that time and you were sitting with them and talking with them, the question is just how did you observe them as business partners as far as being equals?
Well, when there were issues that needed to be resolved, they relied on one another they sat down and talked about how they should approach something. So just in that sense, it appeared to me that they were equals because they didn't make a significant decision without consulting with the other.
And based on your understanding, like what were the roles within the business?
Paul was, in my estimation, like he would have been like a COO or something, understood how the business worked, what the administrative ends of the business were, as well as some of the technical stuff.
And I'm gonna fast forward a little bit.
Okay.
So when Keith went back to school, how did Paul handle that situation?
He was good with it. I mean, it meant that he was doing a little bit more of the day-to-day because Keith was in school with class, but he seemed to be fine with it. I think he was happy for his brother for Keith because it was important for Keith to go to school, and he was going to Columbia, and so there was a lot of prestige with that. And Keith felt good about himself doing it. So, and I think Paul felt good for Keith at that point.
And so was Paul supportive?
Absolutely.
Fast forwarding a little bit more, after 2018, do you know who took over the businesses?
Objection. Relevance.
Can I see the attorneys? 2018 is a pretty long amount of time.
By the way, in case you're just tuning in, there have been more objections called today by both sides than the last 15 days of trial. I don't know if they just learned this word yesterday or what, but we spent weeks hearing no objections ever. So we're hearing quite a few today now that it's the state or the defense's case in chief. So very interesting. A lot of people in the gallery today. I'm not sure that that couple back there, the man with the white hair and the one with the dark hair behind him, those are the Goulds. They were the first two to testify. They were neighbors of behind Paul's place. And so this is our third defense witness today. Again, trying to do some character building, but I don't know if it's necessarily helping. I'm not sure who. There's that person that you're talking about, Stringer Bell. I don't know. I've heard his daughters are in there, but I don't know if that is them or not. I don't know. So Uncle Paul was a swell guy. I mean, yeah, lots of people can be nice. You know, how many times do we hear, well, he was just the nicest guy. I would have never. And then it's always like, yeah, but like he did. He did. You never really truly know somebody, you know. So, but, you know, they're also saying that they were under the impression that Paul and Keith were like 50-50 partners, as if that's helpful to his case, because Keith wanted out of business with him, wanted to sell the businesses. I don't know. Right, IG, yep. He was quiet. He kept to himself. I would have never. And we're all like that. That's no disrespect to people that say that. We all want to believe the best in people and that we haven't surrounded ourselves with monsters. But the truth is usually very different. So, but he's been very emotional today, more emotional than he was Wednesday during the autopsies, which I think is a little wild. Also, what we've learned today is that New Jersey is known for barbecues all of the time. That's apparently what everybody does. Always. It's just kind of funny to me. Like that neighborhood By the way, barbecues every weekend and their Wi-Fi sucks. So just if you're going to move into that Tilton area, those are two things you should know. That's what we've learned today. This is the hell we do. We are the barbecue. I don't know why I find that just so funny today. Everybody's just been like, wow, we had weekly barbecues. We went to all the barbecues. Like, okay. And I don't know. I just found it very funny. We are the barbecue state. Forget about it. It's so funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't have a lot of people I know. Maybe because I don't get invited to barbecues. I don't know why it's funny to hear it, but it is to me. But I mean, yeah, it sounds like things were great until they weren't, so. And remember too, something in case a lot of people don't usually watch trials, just because somebody is testifying for the defense does not mean that they necessarily volunteered to do it. If they subpoena you, you gotta show up. So, I mean, it does sound like these people were more than pleased to go up and speak on their behalf. But, not everyone's there just because they're like, I want to prove Paul's innocence or something like that. So you guys grilled in the winter. I love that. Oh, thank you, IG, for inviting me to a barbecue. I never get invited to. What kind of barbecues do you guys do though? Like, what are you making? What's like the standard besides like, is it more than just burgers and hot dogs? Because I'm not a fan. Do you guys have like a fancy meat you do, or like what's your guys's? Because it's cold and gloomy in Ohio. Nobody wants to barbecue here. I know it is. It is. It's snowing a lot today. Oh my goodness, we got at least a good solid inch probably. So we're supposed to get a few more today, but yeah, we don't really. I mean, I know people who they'll grill outside like some chicken or something, but prime. Dave, you're not even in New Jersey, but that's fine. I'll see how do Canadian barbecues go. Prime rib, steak, or hamburgers. Now that's y'all fancy up there in Canada. Ribs and chicken. Okay. All right. What do you mean? Yes, barbecue chicken, macaroni, potato salad. Okay, so standard barbecue stuff. I haven't traveled a lot. I have a lot of Southern friends, so we learn a lot about how different things can be when you in different areas of the United States that you live. I'm like, oh, like they have crawfish boils. Like what? Nobody's really eating that up here. We do, but not really. So I always like to see how people do things. Like brisket's a big deal. I've had people barbecue or smoke brisket up here, but usually that's a very like fancy event. Like a wedding or a holiday, not just on the reg. All right. Sounds like they're having like barbecues like all of the time, every day. Fancy like Applebee's. Yes. Oh, fires up the smoker, brisket and ribs usually. See, yeah, Lynn. Yeah. Mac and cheese, smoked queso. Oh, we're getting hungry for lunch. Ice cold sweet tea is the best. Nope. No tea for me. Oh, thank you, Dave, for the $20 super chat that he says is for barbecue condiments. Well, we all know Llama has strong feelings about condiments. I do like barbecue, though. The other day, Elbow brought home fried chicken, and I do not like fried chicken. I don't like it. I love the smell of it. It's a texture thing. That's why I don't like it, but I love the smell of it. And I just sat there and sniffed the chicken box. I'm like, oh my God, it smells so good. But I don't like it. So I know, come at me. My Southern friends are like, you will not last down here. And I was like, yeah, I know. I know. I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But yes, thank you. Thank you, Dave, for that. I wonder if we're going to hear from his wife. I don't know if they're going to call him because we heard Prosecutor Chris being like, well, I hope they call her because I can't wait to cross-examine the shit out of her. I don't think they're going to call Susan. Though if they do, oh boy, I'll be interested to see. So I know fried chicken is a staple everywhere. I know. And it's another one of those. I have a list of things that like I wish I liked. Like avocados, bananas, fried chicken. But I do not like any of those things. Like I spit it out like a baby. You know, when you feed like an 8-month-old, you're trying to get them to try new foods and their face like, that's me. That's me. But that's okay. Sam says, I also will not last up there. So fair assessment, right? You guys got one whiff of that cold last couple days and you're like, nope. No, thank you. No, thank you. So the golden ice can leave the South already. Yeah, sorry guys. I kind of sent that your way. My apologies. So rude of us. I don't know. I don't think the defense is going to last that long, to be honest with you guys. This could go to the jury next week. I do think that we're going to be in jury watch for a while, though. I do. But maybe we won't be, but I would expect us to be in jury watch for a little while. I mean, the defense is going to have to work really hard in the reasonable doubt category. Paul's a nice guy, he couldn't have done it, he loved his family, is not enough reasonable doubt for most people. So I don't know how they're gonna do that and point the finger at Corey without bringing him on, or who knows? I don't know. But after last week, they definitely have the mountain decline. The first couple of weeks, I didn't really feel like the state wasn't slam dunking a lot of things at all, really, for me anyway, until they got to the DNA, then the gun, then the I agree. Oh, is that the end of that witch? I know. I am a certified lizard person. That's why I sit under my lizard lamp every day. No, I'm just kidding. I know. I'm weird, I know. Oh, tea is on that list of stuff I like too, but And grape flavored stuff. I hate grape flavor. First of all, it doesn't even taste like grape anything. All right. Why do we call it that? I don't know. But say witness. Okay. Artificial grape. Oh, he looks unhappy. Our friendships are over. Just kidding. It just means more for everybody else. Cannibal barrel? No, I don't think that's right.
Ms. Messalone, when you're ready.
Mr. Pridgett, just a few more questions. So I think the question we left off was after November 20th of 2018, who took over Keith and Paul's businesses?
Corey Caneiro did.
Oh.
And how do you, how soon after November 20th of 2018 did that happen?
Within days.
Thank you.
I did not know that.
Now, obviously, a lot of time has passed since 2018. Are you still close with the Caneiro family today?
I am.
Thank you.
Barbecue Phil.
Ross.
The groundhog.
How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Just wanted to ask you, those questions you were just asked. I mean, somebody had to take over the businesses, right? To make sure that people got paid and customers got serviced, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you talked about, a couple of times, talk about how Keith and Paul were partners, right?
Yes.
They were partners in Square One, right?
Yes.
And also in EcoStar, right?
Yes.
And you also referenced when you said partners, you said 50-50, right?
Yeah, in terms of being equals, I don't know if there was a partnership mix or anything like that. I just know that they behaved as equals.
Okay. They behaved as equals, correct? And are you saying you don't know who owned what with, let's just say, Square One in particular? Who owned what percentage?
No,
You don't know?
I don't.
Okay. And EcoStar, you don't know either?
No.
Now, you were talking about the Home Bell office, Square One, right? That was a while ago, right?
They were there in 2010. I believe.
2010, and then they moved to the Asbury Park office later, correct?
Yes.
So were you saying that you were using an office in just Asbury Park or in both?
Actually, in both.
Okay. What year did you retire?
Officially last year in 2025.
Now,
Oh.
you were asking questions about Paul being very level-headed, right?
Yes.
You said that, right? And you said Keith was more emotional, right?
Yes.
Kind of always knew what he was thinking based upon the way he interacted, correct?
Yes.
You said something about like he wore his emotions on his sleeve, right?
Yes.
Okay, did you ever, or strike that, did you ever have the opportunity to view text messages or chats between Keith and Paul?
No.
Okay, you didn't read their messages, right?
No.
You didn't read the emails from Keith to Paul and Paul to Keith, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you weren't privy to their phone calls, right?
No.
Each other.
No.
Okay, like you weren't overhearing Keith call Paul or Paul call Keith, right?
I might have, but nothing specific.
You described Mr. Caneiro, Paul Caneiro, as being loyal, correct?
Yes.
You also said at times he was always giving, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that you're not aware of any times that he was actually taking?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Were you ever made aware of times when Paul Caneiro was taking financially from Keith Caneiro?
Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
No.
You said no?
I said no. I'm sorry.
I honestly, I just wasn't sure.
Somebody coughed. And it wasn't me this time.
Judge, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
Judge, can we approach?
Sure you can.
Okay, oh my goodness. Can a girl not get some coffee and a potty break before they go to sidebar? Did they finish that witness or they're just in another sidebar? I'll say interesting that Corey took over the businesses. Super sus. I don't know. Interesting. I don't think they had revealed that before. Maybe they did. I don't know. The witness finished. Thank you, Amos. Hi. Good morning, babes. Okay, thank you. I'm moving fast. Oh, no, they're not.
The prosecutor asked you, whether someone had to take over the businesses, right? But it didn't have to be Corey, right? It could have been someone else.
Yes, in all honesty, I was a little bit surprised.
Sir, that's the answer to the question. It's either yes or no. Somebody else could have taken it over?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to strike the part after the word yes, it could have been somebody else.
And to your knowledge, over the course of let's say, starting in the 2000s, from 2000 up until 2018, like those 18 years, did Corey have anything to do with the business?
No. Corey had been brought in a couple of times, I know, by Keith and Paul into the business, but it didn't really work out, and they wind up having to let him go from that.
And was this prior to 2000?
Probably late 90s and then maybe early 2000s. I tried to cut. There's a couple of instances.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
No, Judge, thank you.
All right, sir, you can step down. Thank you. We appreciate your time. Ms. Messalone, when you're ready.
Thank you, Judge. The defense is going to call Stacey Pritchett.
Stacey Pritchett, okay. Oh, thank you for reminding me there, people. I'll be honest, some days of court, I have literally just dumped my brain. All of it. All right. All right, so your name's Stacey, but I'll do my best. Yeah, I'm going with.
Ma'am, just watch your step. If there's a step up to the witness box, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. If you don't mind, before you sit down, could you put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, once you're comfortable and seated, can you state your full name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Sure. My name is Stacey Pritchett. It's Pritchett.
Ma'am, I'm just going to ask you to speak up so jurors number 15 and 16 can hear you, okay?
Of course, yes.
All right, thank you so much. Ms. Messalone, when you're ready.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Pritchett.
Good morning.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Hi, my name is Stacey Pritchett. Should I spell it again?
No, you're good.
Okay. What's your current occupation?
I work in marketing.
And what's your educational background?
I have a BA in literature from SUNY Binghamton and an MBA in marketing from Brew College.
And are you married to Jim Pritchett, who we just heard from?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So obviously we just heard from your husband, so we already have some background. But can you just explain a little bit to the jury about how you met Susan and then Paul?
Absolutely. I met Susan when I was a sophomore in high school, so about 43 years ago. We went to high school together. We had a lot of classes, and we just became friends. We did a project together, and we just really hit it off. We were very close in high school. I went away to college, and I would write letters, and we kept in touch. And then after college, when I moved back home, we rekindled our friendship. And I would consider her my best friend, more like a sister, and Paul more like my brother-in-law. I've known him about 42 years. And I consider them like family. I consider Katie and Marissa like my nieces, and my kids introduce them as their cousins.
Okay, so just to back up for a moment, you mentioned you met Susan in high school,
I did.
right?
Yes.
And you were around how old at that time?
I was about 15 years old when I met Sue.
And what about when you met Paul? How old were you then?
16 or 17, in that range. So about a year after I met Sue, I had met Paul.
So
They
still
had
in
started
high school?
dating, still in high school. Yes.
And again, we heard from your husband, but can you just explain a little bit more about your relationship with the Caneiro family? I know you just explained that you consider them like family, but how did your relationship develop over the years with the families as far as like things you did together and events and activities and things of that nature?
We became like family. Sue, like I said, is more like my sister than my best friend, and Paul, my brother-in-law, the girls like my nieces. We went on family vacations. We went to Disney World. We went to Hershey Park like once a summer. We spent every Christmas Eve together. And during the summer, we were there like every other weekend. I used to joke that it was my shore house. But we spent a lot of time together as families.
And during the summer, we've heard a lot about these barbecues. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that?
So we would go, once they put in their pool, we were there regularly. We would go every other weekend. Paul is a fabulous cook. He would barbecue. He'd make the best steak that is still talked about in my house.
Oh, steak.
And
Fancy.
he would cook, and the kids would swim. We would all swim. They'd play on the trampoline. They'd play with each other, and we'd just hang out. We spent a lot of time with them in the summer.
So based on how well you knew Paul, how would you describe him?
I would say that Paul is highly intelligent, loyal, very helpful, dependable, very logical, and very even-tempered.
And did you say he was?
He's very helpful. He was always helpful to me personally, to us as a family. He was always there if I needed advice. He helped us with when personal computers became a thing. It was Paul who set us up. He set up my computer. He set up my mother's computer. Whenever I had an IT question or a technical question, I would ask Paul. He really was my go-to person for anything technical. He advised me on what tires to buy. And then when Jim and I moved to New Jersey and we bought our house, things were broken, and he came over with his drill. He fixed our cabinet. He fixed other things around the house. One time when my husband was traveling and my kids were very, very little, our boiler broke. And I called Sue and I spoke to Paul, and he told me what to do. I called a repair person, and then he stayed on the line with me the entire time that the repair person was there. So he was always very, very helpful.
And as a result of how well you knew Susan and Paul and their family, and how often you saw them, I think you said like every other weekend.
Yes.
A lot during the summer. Did you have the occasion to see Keith and Jennifer and their family?
Yes, we saw them every Christmas Eve because they would come every Christmas Eve, and we'd all exchange gifts, and we'd see them a lot during the summer. So they wanted to swim in the pool and eat Paul's cooking and play and hang out. So we spent a lot of time with Keith and Jen and the kids every summer, a lot of time.
And so based on what you were able to observe with the interactions with the family, can you tell us about Paul's relationship with Keith?
Yes. So in the 40 or so years approximate 40 years that I knew Keith and Paul, I observed them often, and they had a very loving relationship. Paul loved Keith very much. He would call him his person, his best friend. He was always there for Keith. He was they were best friends and business partners, and he was very protective of Keith, and he loved him very, very much.
And did Did you ever have the opportunity to see them disagree or argue?
Yes, I mean, they were brothers, so of course they disagreed. Yes, they would disagree. They would discuss things, get their feelings out there. I actually admired their relationship because they could disagree and then go back to being best friends, going to lunch. So they would disagree. Usually it was Keith who would lose his temper. Paul was always the more even one, the fixer, keeping calm. And they would disagree and then they would resolve it and move on and go out to lunch and just resume the relationship like nothing ever happened.
And what about Paul's relationship with Jesse and Sophia? What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that he loved them very, very much. I would say that Jesse was the son he didn't have. He loved Jesse, he loved Sophia. He absolutely adored those kids. I know when Jesse was in preschool or kindergarten, he was allowed to bring an adult to school with him, and he chose his Uncle Paul. I mean, that was how much Jesse loved Paul, and it was absolutely reciprocated. He absolutely loved Jesse. He absolutely loved Sophia. He loved those kids.
Focusing on the businesses for a moment. To your knowledge, again, just based on your experience knowing them and what your personal observations were, and getting to know Paul, getting to know Keith over the 40-something years, were you privy to when the businesses started and as they progressed and things of that nature?
I was privy to some of it, absolutely. I know Keith started the business and then he brought Paul on, and Paul was the one who really grew the business. He went out and he got clients. He was very instrumental in building the business. I know they worked very well together. They were very compatible. I think Keith was more strategic and Paul was more like tactical, more hands-on. He was always there building the business, and they worked very, very well together.
Now,
I mean, that could build up.
Obviously, again, a lot of time has passed since November of 2018. Are you still close with the Caneiro family?
Absolutely. They are our family and they always will be.
Thank you.
Cross?
Thank you. Good morning, man.
Good morning.
You said Keith would always lose his temper.
Not always. He was the first one to usually get agitated and start yelling.
Okay. Paul was very level-headed, right?
Yes.
Now, I assume you'll agree with me that you didn't hear Keith lose his temper on a phone call with Paul on November 19th, 2018.
No, I did not.
Never heard that, correct?
No, I did not.
You also said that Keith started the business, right?
Correct.
And you said that Paul then had a lot to do with growing the business, right?
Yes.
And I'm sure that's fair. But were you aware of the ownership structure of, when I say the business, let's say Square One? Did you know who owned what?
I had an idea.
And what was the idea?
I think mostly Keith's, and Paul was part of it as well. The majority was Keith's.
I have nothing further, Judge.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
You can step down, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Defense, call our next witness.
Judge, that's all we have for today.
Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you get to go home. So that'll end us for today. We'll be back again here on Monday morning, first thing, just like we are. We'll have you here at 8 o'clock. We'll have you up by 8:30. We'll continue on. There's things that the attorneys and myself have to do outside of your presence. So we'll be doing that. So it's not like the case is not doing something during this time frame. But I'm going to send you guys home. So I hope you have a great weekend. I hope it doesn't snow. And I don't discuss this case and don't do any research. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Interesting. That's all they had for today. Interesting. They started their cars in the cold for this. What? She says, I guess Monica thought there was going to be more cross, yet there was nothing for the state to challenge. The defense had nothing today. Nope. Just had some character witnesses. Are they going to even have more on Monday? We don't know, but we might. We're going to stick around and see what they're talking about. Maybe we might get some insight. But the fact that they're having this conference, I'm going to go with it's probably about jury instructions, because they have been talking about those this week, meaning that they're going to want those solidified. Usually that kind of conference comes when it's getting very close to the end. So maybe this is a sign that next week might be the last week. I don't know. I'm going to talk to Mr. Caneiro. I mean, he probably will, but I don't know. They're going to sidebar, so that's great. Love that for us. Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could ask him now, too. We might get some insight of whether or not he plans to testify, because they do have to ask him that outside of the record, and then Paul has to state himself yes or no. So that could come up. So his testimony was like trying to skate uphill. Yeah. So like, yes, okay, they're all like, oh, he's very loyal. He never gets upset. I don't know if you've ever met somebody who is usually pretty chill, and then when they lose their shit, it's intense and scary. Okay. Let alone there could be some resentment if he's been this loyal to Keith, taking care of him, taking care of the business, and Keith just wanting to get rid of it all. I mean, that can build resentment after a while. And that too can, cause somebody to lose it. So I don't know if that's a good idea. What was that noise? That was weird. I don't know what that was about. Weird. P. Lola, my source sucked. This was a nothing burger. Your source probably didn't know that the state was going to rest today. Vince knew, but I don't know. I don't know who your source is, but the blonde woman, I think that's Susan. Oh, interesting. Snapped. Yes. I mean, it's not unheard of. So, listen, I don't know anybody that hasn't lost their shit sometime in their life. We all have our not so great moments. They may not be in front of everyone, but the new version update of Zuckerberg is ready to install. Yeah, that was a weird noise. It's like do 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 do. I don't know what that was about. What an interesting day. I don't know if they're going to be doing their conference streamed or not. Sometime there was one day, was it last week, that Friday, when they had the big conference and it was not streamed at all. I don't know if this one will be. We'll see. Right? There's a whole ID network series called Snap. It happens a lot. Okay. And losing, Keith really wanting to sell. We know Paul did not want to sell, or at least thought that he could get more money. They could get more money for the pest control business. Just, Buffy, I lose my shit multiple times a day. Me too, babe. Me too. But somebody that's like that, when they do, it's usually these people snap because they haven't, how would I say that? Express those kind of emotions a lot. So when it does finally happen, they don't have a good control over it, because they don't get that way very often. So I'm like the rest of us. I'm not going to say I have good control over it, but it happens enough that I've learned. So Very interesting, though. And I was thinking too, like, what I don't know, now that we've heard the autopsies, we have a very good idea of what went down in that house, and especially with Sophia. I really don't know how he didn't get blood in his car or on him. There was no time he had to clean his car and or get a shower. There's no way. And so it really does surprise me that he didn't leave anything anywhere. I mean, even if he changed his clothes, I'm still very, very surprised about that. I mean, anything's possible, I suppose, but wait, no. Crunch, crunch, crunch. No, I'm just kidding. Buffy. I never claimed to be stable. All in good fun. No. I don't know. I think the case is going to be wrapped up next week, guys. I do. Yay for us. Yay for us. So what does that mean after this trial is concluded? Well, I'm so glad you asked, Llama. So we're going to focus during the daytime on more Laura Owens coverage. I'm going to take a break, live streaming trials, because, I'm on a bunch of other shows. I have a lot of work I need to make sure that I'm caught up on and all of that. But I will still be doing Laura Owens stuff during the day. How many days a week? I'm not sure. I got to work some stuff out, but don't worry. We're still going to be together a lot. I promise. But the Laura Owens case, there is so much to get into and talk about. And if she is, in fact, going to be going to trial, I think July, then we do have to start covering it now, because there is just so much. So we will still be hanging out, during the day and going over that crazy mess. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, we read, we have 2 episodes that we did. Buffy was on the second one with me, where we read her investigation report into her felonies. That's a very good top of the iceberg insight into the saga that is Laura Owens. One of the craziest cases I've ever come across, ever. So be sure you go watch those over the weekend, because every time you think no reasonable person would do that, guess what? Here she comes along, just like a wrecking ball. It's something. It's something. So we'll be doing that. Lynn says, yes, I still have a lot of questions. I need to go back and look at this week, though. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, so that the record is clear, what our plan is that the attorneys and the court, we're going to go through all of the exhibits after lunch to discuss what items that are allowed in or not, so that you're aware. Just because something has been marked as an exhibit doesn't mean that the jury necessarily gets it. We wait until the court makes a determination whether it's going to be allowed in. So that's what's going to happen this afternoon. And we're also going to go over the jury charge again in anticipation of summations next week at some point. So with that being said, that'll be at 1:30. It's an open courtroom. If you want to be here, you can be here. If not, that there will be no testimony this afternoon. It will just be going through the physical evidence and also going through the jury charge. All right. Just want everybody to know that. All right. I'll see everyone back here at 1:30.
Okay. So I'm going to let y'all know now. We're not doing this. Not doing it. I have stuff I need to do for TMI tonight. And listen, we're not going to miss anything of importance. If for some reason some shit goes down, fine, I'll come back and pop up live. But there is nothing more boring, okay? Even more boring than Andy, okay? than going through exhibits and saying yes or no. And they have hundreds, okay? We don't need to do that to ourselves, all right? We don't need to do it. We don't need to lose our sanity more than we already have. But if they do get to jury instructions and it's turning to be spicy or something, like I'll be keeping an eye, an ear on things, so we can always discuss, Monday, if something comes out of that. But I love y'all. Okay. I love y'all. I love hanging out with you guys, but trust me, this is a gift I'm giving you. So, I do, if they're doing the charges and stuff today and the exhibits, they're going to be wrapped up by next week. Absolutely. They're going to be wrapped up by next week. Normally this would be something that the court usually revisits when it's getting very close to closing arguments. Usually when the defense rests is when they go over jury instructions, but they're being very mindful of their time. So that leads me to believe next week might be our last week, which, oh boy, we've earned it. We've earned it. And interesting. I don't know who the defense is going to call next. I don't know if Paul will testify. If, by the way, if we hear anything where Paul says, yes, he's going to, definitely make sure you check out our community post, because I will be posting something like, oh my God, he's going to do it. So keep an eye on that. Tonight is, we have a public show of Too Much Internet. It's our Fun Friday show. And tonight we're doing a deep dive into Britney Spears subreddit. She has had too much internet, and we need to talk about Britney. So we're going to be doing that tonight at 9 p.m. It's going to be a good time. Also, if you did not catch Terry and I, our first episode, season 6 of True Crime and Wine Time, we did that last night. It's about the unsolved Lane Bryant murders. I highly recommend going and watching it. We were a little emotional. It's a very emotional episode. It's very victim centric. And so we're happy to be back with that as well. And tonight will be great. Now, for those of you Bestie members and higher, Llama Learns About. So I have family coming into town tomorrow. So I will not be doing Llama Learns About. Sunday's a possibility, but I'm not sure. So we'll figure out a way to squeeze it in somewhere. If I don't do it this weekend, maybe I'll do a double episode or an extra long one next week for sure. So if I can't fit it in this weekend, I promise we'll pick up an extra one, because I do have the weekend of February 20th. I won't be doing any Llama Learns About, because I'm going to a 9 Inch Nails concert on Friday, and then the lovely Amos is coming into town to visit me. So I will be busy that weekend. But oh gosh, what a day. What a day. I wasn't expecting it, but I can't be happier, to be honest with you. Well, all right, everyone. You all have a lovely, I expect tonight to be a circus and mostly toxic. Oh, yes. And I love that. I love how you worded that. It is absolutely both of those things. But all right. Well, I will see you all later tonight. Hope you all have an amazing, great weekend. If you're getting snow, please stay warm, stay safe. Don't drive if you don't have to. If you're getting snow, it's fine. Nothing's that important, right? So until Monday, we'll be back Monday morning for the trial versus Paul Caneiro. Until next time, guys, stay safe and go forth and be amazing. All right. Bye, guys.